Chapter 2277. Sister, are you serious? In Wenli's palace, Nine-Faced Overlord was completely convinced by Wenli's forward thinking. Even if the Holy Domain was attacked, Wenli actually thought of the future war between the Virtual World Corporation and Sangyu Galaxy. Virtual World Corporation. Sister, we are the Virtual World Corporation. As long as Sangyu Galaxy wants to survive in the human race, they wouldn't dare to attack you. Furthermore, the Universe Union Bank and the Virtual World Corporation were on the same side. If Sangyu Galaxy really dared to attack the Virtual World Corporation, then the Universe Union Bank would support them unconditionally, provoking the two giants. Not just Sangyu Galaxy, even the Supremes Association wouldn't dare to do that. Nine-Faced Overlord facebombed. Her sister was good at everything, just that she was too stubborn at times. Why not? Wenli was serious. She didn't think that she was just doing whatever she wanted. The decision she made now was completely in line with the future of the universe. To others, the Virtual World Corporation was huge. Anyone with a brain wouldn't provoke them. Then, where was the Milky Way galaxy? One had to know that the Milky Way galaxy was once the strongest existence in the human universe. The power of the Milky Way galaxy, it wasn't an exaggeration. It was enough to change the human universe. What was the result? Destroyed. The galaxy collapsed, the Milky Way race died in battle, the survivors were all wanted. The universe wanted order was revoked a few days ago. Couldn't the Virtual World Corporation become the second Milky Way galaxy? Awareness of danger. Nine-Faced Overlord didn't have it, but as the leader, she had to consider it. Everything had to be prepared in advance. This way, when things happened, she wouldn't be flustered. But sister, Sangyu Galaxy is a Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy is now a restricted area. No buying or selling, no troops are allowed. Nine-Faced Overlord smiled bitterly. What? Wenli was stunned. It was hard to imagine that the leader of the Virtual World Corporation, one of the highest beings of the human race, one of the voting members of the octagonal table, would reveal such a cute expression. Sangyu Galaxy is next to the Milky Way galaxy? Wenli was a frequent visitor to the Milky Way galaxy. When the Milky Way galaxy was still around, she would go there whenever she had nothing to do. Sometimes she would stay for hundreds, thousands of years. She had never noticed that Sangyu Galaxy was next to the Milky Way galaxy. Yes. The Nine-Faced Overlord smiled bitterly. In his heart, however, he muttered, "Of course you don't know." Every time he returned to the Milky Way galaxy, he would arrive before he even reached his destination. It was not rare for him to waste expensive resources. He would jump into the dark universe and head straight for the main star of the Milky Way galaxy. After going there, he stuck close to the master of the galaxy. How could he still care about the Blue Moon galaxy? So annoying. Wenli frowned. The Milky Way is connected to the Sangyu galaxy. It can't be the Milky Way in all four directions. If so, the Sangyu galaxy will become the main galaxy of the Milky Way. The current Sangyu galaxy belongs to the Sangyu universe country. The Sangyu galaxy has long bought the entire universe. The Nine-Faced Overlord spoke. Is that so? He's pretty fast. Wenli squinted. Since that's the case, let's buy all the universe countries around Sangyu universe country. Are you sure? The Nine-Faced Hegemon asked. Close to the universe countries, it wasn't just the North, South, East and West universe countries. The locations of the universe countries were crisscrossed, and any universe country close to it would have at least 7 to 8 universe countries. Sangyu universe country had over 40 neighboring universe countries. In order to let Wenli understand the situation, the Nine-Faced Hegemon explained the situation. It's just 46 universe countries, buy them all. Wenli waved her hand, her aura soaring, buy them all for me. After buying them all, start deploying the Virtual World Corporation's forces there. Transform all the galaxies into armed galaxies. I want the best battle equipment, the most complete battle system. Sister, this will cost a huge amount of money. The nine-faced hegemon pursed his lips. My virtual world corporation doesn't lack money. Wunli spoke, just do as I say. We have to buy all the surrounding universe countries. If anyone doesn't sell, tell them to come find me in the palace. Yes, the nine-faced hegemon smiled bitterly and nodded. Wunli waved her hand, indicating for the nine-faced hegemon to start preparing. They slowly left the palace. The nine-faced hegemon didn't waste any time, immediately sending people to prepare the battleship. You're not doing this on a whim, Sister Wunli. At this time, a young lady walked out from behind Wunli's palace. This young lady was Shea. Call me teacher. Wunli creased her eyebrows. Teacher. Shea frowned and spoke unwillingly. Only then did Wunli nod satisfactorily. You think I'm doing this on a whim? I'm not sure. My brother-in-law always says that you can't use the normal way of thinking to look at things. Shea said. It's on purpose, isn't it? Wunli tilted her head. Let me tell you again, if I hadn't been in closed-door training for a period of time, there's no way your sister would be involved. Shea couldn't be bothered to argue. It's not on a whim. I really want to try it out with Songyu. Wunli sat on a chair, gazing at the pure white sky outside. Others might not know, but you and I both understand Songyu planet very well. They've been developing too quickly during this period of time. And Songyu, he actually became an ultimate being. This is something I'm very concerned about. Concerned about what? Shea didn't understand. That's none of your business. Wunli patted Shea's little head. What you need to do is properly absorb the inheritance I've found for you. This inheritance is very compatible with you, it's very suitable for you. You only have the right to participate in this competition after you become a supremacy or above. Supremacy, huh? Shea let out a long sigh. As long as you are serious, it will be very fast. What's your relationship with Yizichin? You're actually willing to go to the dark universe and come back to find me for him. You can't be with him. You're thinking too much, Shea twitched her mouth. He's the one chosen by the Master of the Milky Way. Big sis, you know that as well, right? Of course. Otherwise, why would I pay so much attention to him? Wunli nodded. She left all 5 elemental spirits to him. Milky Way really is too nice to him. In the following months, the human universe countries underwent a tremendous change. The 39 universe countries around the Songyu galaxy officially joined the Virtual World Corporation. Actually, 3 of the 7 universe countries were subordinate to the Virtual World Corporation. Nobody knew what the Virtual World Corporation was trying to do. All of a sudden, the human race began to discuss amongst themselves. Quite a few people wondered what the Virtual World Corporation was planning. Even the higher-ups of the human race were confused. Little did they know, all of this was on a whim. Chapter 2278. The Virtual World Corporation is really rich. 40-plus universe countries, how much universe dollars would that require? No, this number is not something that can be measured by universe dollars. He's really too rich. Little Fatty Bart sat on the sofa. At this time, he was watching the program, Major Cosmic Events. If one had to talk about the biggest event in the universe in recent times, it would have to be the Virtual World Corporation's big move to purchase a cosmic nation. Almost every issue, universe events would mention it. From Bard's point of view, it would be better to just start a program from the Virtual World Group. Perhaps the number of viewers would be even higher. What did I just hear? There's actually someone who can make our Steel family's second young master feel that they're rich. Tell me, who's so arrogant? The second floor of the castle, Yizichin walked out with Bei Yu's help. At this time, more than 3 months had passed since the second universe purge plan. He forcefully condensed the third heaven plundering style. The burden on Yizichin was far greater than his body could bear. In the following few months, Yizichin stayed in recovery, while Bayu and Bayin took care of him 24/7. Because of this, Bard even had a small conflict with Yizichin, her Bayin goddess. Fortunately, Bada was a reasonable person. He knew that Yizichin's situation was rather bad, so he reluctantly let Bayin take care of him. Who else could it be? The Virtual World Corporation. Bard tilted his head and pointed at the Universe Player with his lips. The Universe Player was still talking about the Virtual World Group and the news of them buying a Universe nation. Even Yizichin, who didn't pay much attention to these things, understood most of it. Universe country, Universe country? Bud clenched his fists. Our Steel family's entire wealth can't even buy half of it. The Virtual World Group directly bought over 40 universe countries. Compared to them, I'm not even a family descendant. Ha ha ha, Yizichin smiled but didn't reply. This was obvious. The Virtual World Corporation was, after all, one of the 8 giants. Naturally, it had a strong foundation. Even Yizichin was rather surprised. The Virtual World Corporation had actually bought over 40 universe countries. In the broadcast of major cosmic events, he seemed to have even mentioned the Virtual World Corporation. They were currently moving troops towards these universe countries. Good. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. It was as if they were preparing for war. As for who he was going to fight, major cosmic events did not dare to speculate on its own. This kind of giant-level action, how could a small universe variety program like theirs dare to comment? As they spoke, the program ended. Bard stretched lazily and summoned his optical computer. I'm going to Universe 2. Are you coming? Don't talk nonsense. Yizichin rolled his eyes mercilessly. This guy really knows how to rub it in. Ah, I forgot, haha. With a silly smile, Bard's consciousness entered the virtual network. Yizichin didn't go. In other words, all the human survivors who had experienced that purge never entered the second universe again. In any case, it was a disaster. It could even be called a catastrophe. Those who had survived all had lingering fears when they mentioned the second universe, and the fear in their hearts had reached an extreme point. There were also quite a number of people. The second universe had become a taboo topic for them. Even though the Virtual World Corporation had already stated clearly that the second universe was a real world. Once they entered the second universe, they would face the danger of death. As long as the Virtual World Corporation defended themselves properly, they would not have to bear any responsibility for the disaster of the purge. Finally, in the end, the Virtual World Corporation still compensated everyone. Even more so. From then on, the village Yizichin was in started to become sparse. Those who logged into the game were all solo players. They did not personally experience the disaster, so they were unable to understand the situation. Even though countless people complained about their terrible state on the forums, there were only a few who were truly convinced and stopped playing the game. When the Virtual World Corporation announced the truth about the second universe, that had already dissuaded a large number of humans. Those who still chose to enter the second universe after that were prepared for the worst, or they might have been humans who wanted to get some interest from the second universe. Yizichin's situation was slightly better. He was not defeated by the purge, but he did not log into the second universe again. Yes, this chapter is not finished. Please continue. He was still worried. He thought about a lot after waking up, and the thing he thought about the most was whether he should continue making such a dangerous decision. Right now, he was studying in school step by step. Slowly increase his strength. Taking the safest path wasn't too bad of a choice. His body was in terrible shape after returning from the second universe, but his strength had increased noticeably. He was already at the 6th level of the star level. That was the problem he was facing. If he stopped now, the milk powder of the elemental fairies would become a huge problem. Without a stable supply of funds from the equipment shops, he would not be able to replenish the supply of elemental fairies. Also, he hadn't seen the elemental phoenix for a long time. Bai Feng had entrusted her to him. If he didn't log into the game, he would be letting her down. But he really didn't want to go through that again. If it weren't for his luck, he might have died in the second universe, and would never be able to see Su Yan and the others again. Yi Zichen had always wondered, should he just go back like this? From the looks of the current situation, he could totally sit in the Milky Way. Now that he was in the universe, he actually hadn't learned any useful knowledge. Let's wait a bit longer. He let out a deep sigh, then pushed the thought to the back of his mind. Bai Feng was still in the middle of traveling through the universe. Even if he really wanted to return to Earth, he had to at least wait until she came to see him. Otherwise, if Bai Feng came and he left in the next few months, who knew whether or not she would go to the Milky Way in anger to cause trouble for him? Looking at the time, Bai Feng should be here soon enough. Thump, thump, thump. Hurried footsteps suddenly sounded out from outside. Then, Yi Zichen saw Bai Yin hurrying in with 2 slaves. Yi Zichen had some impression of one of them. They seemed to be the ones sent to Earth. Mr. Yi. Bai Yin bit her lips, her eyes filled with self-blame. Yi Zichen couldn't help but narrow his eyes when he saw her expression. What is it? Your friend ran into some trouble. What? My friend? Who? End of chapter. Chapter 2279. Bai Yin pursed her lips. He could tell that she was very tense right now. However, Yi Zichen felt rather confused. He didn't have any friends on Blue River Planet. The only person she had a good relationship with, Bud, was sitting on the sofa in the living room. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen frowned as he looked at the slaves. Could it be from the Milky Way? Bring me there. Yi Zichen didn't pursue the matter, nor did he have the time. Yi Zichen's heart raced along the way. When he left Earth, he told them not to leave Earth unless they had transcended. If someone followed the slaves back, it meant that someone had succeeded. Who could it be? In terms of strength, the goddess of war, Tian Tian, was actually the closest to transcending. When Yi Zichen left, she was only a step away. After that was the great sage, Yang Jian, Mr. Yi. Along the way, Bai Yin's expression was filled with self-blame. Several months ago, Yi Zichen's slaves had led the people of the Milky Way to the castle. At that time, Yi Zichen had just returned from the second universe with heavy injuries. Bai Yin used a few reasons to dodge the question and didn't let the visitors stay in the castle. Actually, she did it out of consideration for Yi Zichen's safety, since she didn't know Yi Zichen's friends. Before Yi Zichen woke up, no one could confirm the newcomer's identity. When Yi Zichen woke up, she and Bai Yu had been taking care of him, while Bai Yin had also forgotten about Yi Zichen's friend. Until recently. A slave living elsewhere suddenly found her and told her that Yi Zichen's friend was in trouble. Only then did she remember the matter and hurried to the castle to report it to Yi Zichen. All right, I don't blame you. Yi Zichen knew what Bai Yin was blaming herself for, but he also understood her. With her current identity and position, there were too many things that she had to deal with. Many times, when she was busy, she would forget some things that she didn't think were important. Furthermore, what she did wasn't wrong. If this self-proclaimed old friend of Yi Zichen's wasn't actually Yi Zichen's old friend and had harmed Yi Zichen while Yi Zichen was heavily injured, how should he deal with it? Of course, this possibility was very small, but it was not impossible. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. What's more, Yi Zichen wasn't in the mood to argue with Bai Yin. All he wanted to do was hurry over. He didn't want anything to happen to his friend. Those guys better pray they don't do anything out of line. If the people from the Milky Way were to lose even a single strand of hair, no matter who was behind them, Yi Zichen absolutely wouldn't let them off. Perhaps his current strength was too low. But there would come a day when he could turn things around. Blue River Planet. The planet was divided into 17 districts. The number of the district represented the location of the district on the planet. The smaller the number, the closer it was to the center of the planet. Blue River Star's 9th district. This was actually the inner part of the planet, and the people who lived here belonged to the upper middle class of the entire planet. In the middle of a street in the 9th district, the black-robed young man stared at the middle-aged man in front of him with his pitch-black eyes. Actually, the two of them didn't have any grudges. If they were to talk about the beginning of the feud, it was this young man who ruined the middle-aged man's plans. "Brat, it's none of your business. You better *CK off." The middle-aged man was a star-level expert. In Blue River Star, a star-level expert was already considered a decent existence. One must know that on this life planet there were less than 50 star-level experts. As for universe levels, there were only 3 of them. The young man in front of him was a domain level 1 expert. With the middle-aged man's strength, he could smash the young man into smithereens with one slap. However, a domain-level expert had the status of a universe citizen. If he killed him within the planet, he would be pursued by the law enforcers. Therefore, even though the difference in strength between them was obvious, he couldn't kill the young man. "She doesn't want to go with you. Why did you force her?" The young man frowned. Beside him was a cute and sweet-looking cat race girl. The girl had a pair of furry ears and a cute tail. It could be seen from her trembling ears that she was very afraid. "And you guys, isn't this girl a staff member of your arena? Aren't you going to do anything about it?" The young man turned around and looked at the people not far away. "This warrior, she isn't a universe citizen," someone explained. "Universe citizen?" The black-robed youth squinted his eyes. "This chapter isn't finished, please continue." He couldn't help but reveal a mocking smile. She had been on Blue River Planet for 3 months. In the past 3 months, this planet had given him a certain feeling: coldness. This coldness was 10 times, 100 times stronger than the coldness he felt before. It wasn't even on the same level. He had once seen it with his own eyes in a tavern. Just because a young master who seemed to be more capable took a fancy to a girl, and because the girl didn't comply, the young master was killed on the spot. No one cared about the girl's cries for help. Until she died, no one even looked at her. By the time he went over, the girl was already dead. After that, he found out that the girl wasn't a universe citizen. In this universe, those who hadn't become domain-level humans, especially those vassal races with no status, their lives were less than livestock. If they wanted to kill, they would kill. No one had ever felt that this was wrong, as though everyone here had silently accepted this fact. Just now he met this cat race girl. During this period of time, he had been immersed in the arena. The cat race girl was the receptionist here, and after a while they got to know each other. Just as he was about to leave, the man in front of him seemed to want to force the cat race girl to do something. He didn't need to think to know that it was a dirty act. The youth naturally couldn't just sit back and do nothing, which led to the scene just now. However, the person in charge of the arena saying that she wasn't a universe citizen instantly triggered the youth's nerves. He thought of the Milky Way galaxy. He thought of the billions of people in the Milky Way galaxy who hadn't become domain level. According to the words of the people here, didn't that mean that the entire Milky Way galaxy was an animal waiting to be slaughtered? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Kid, you heard that. She isn't a universe citizen. You should be glad that you've entered the threshold of a universe citizen. Otherwise, do you think I, a star level, would waste my breath on you? The middle-aged man said with disdain. Who set this? The youth frowned. Huh! I say, who set the rule that those who haven't reached domain level aren't universe citizens? Who gave you the right to bully and humiliate those who aren't universe citizens? The youth's eyes turned red. He looked up at the middle-aged man who was a head taller than him. Tell me, who is it? End of this chapter. Chapter 2280. Kid, for some reason, the middle-aged man felt a tinge of fear from the young man in front of him. After all, he was a star level. He had a high status in the Blue River planet. This young man was just a domain level, yet he was scared by such an ant. "Who do you think you're talking to?" In an instant, the middle-aged man was furious. This anger was mixed with the young man's disrespect towards him, as well as the unexplainable fear in his heart. He subconsciously wanted to release his power to calm himself down. The power of a star level was unleashed. The surrounding houses and the ground started to crack. A strong pressure pressed down on the young man, causing his feet to sink deep into the ground. People nowadays are getting more and more arrogant. You're just a star level, yet you dare to order a star level senior around. Who taught you all this? Didn't the elders in your family teach you to respect your seniors? Dong, the young man standing in front suddenly felt his chest sink. The huge impact sent him flying backward, and his back slammed into the wall of the building behind him. The blood in his chest churned. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The ground in front of him was dyed red. Cough, cough. The young man clutched his chest and slowly walked out of the dust. From the middle-aged man's attack just now, the young man had already clearly felt the difference in power between them. Only now did he understand. What kind of world did he come to? Here, he was no longer standing at the top of the world. His existence was like an ant that could be crushed by anyone. He looked towards the Cat Clan girl. The girl's eyes showed some worry when the young man was injured. However, she didn't dare to move. She just bit her lips in fear. "Ha!" The young man sneered and slowly raised his head to look at the middle-aged man. When he noticed the young man's expression, the middle-aged man's eyes instantly became even more furious. "What kind of look is that, ah?" He saw that the young man was looking at him without any fear. His eyes were even flashing with a fierce light. This kind of look was a great insult to the middle-aged man. Star level versus domain level. This chapter is not finished, please continue. Not only did the domain level not yield, he even dared to look at him like that. "You're courting death?" In anger, the star-level middle-aged man suddenly mobilized the power of the universe. Swoosh! At this moment, a golden sword suddenly descended from the void. This sudden scene caused everyone to raise their heads involuntarily. They saw a pale-faced young man land on the ground. There were several people following behind him. Without exception, all of them had surging auras. Star state. All of them are at the star level. Heavens, am I seeing things? There are actually experts from other galaxies here. In the Blue River Star, the appearance of a nebula level was enough to cause chaos. Experts of this level usually lived in the central area and rarely came to the 9th district. The young man could not help but raise his head, and his eyes were filled with wild joy. Yi Yun. The person who'd suddenly appeared was none other than Yi Zichen. The black-robed youth was the Milky Way's Emperor Hades, Yi Zichen's best friend, Suyun. They hugged each other tightly. Yi Zichen really didn't expect that the person who came to Blue River Planet would be Suyun. Although he was also very strong, his strength was actually not at the peak of the group at that time. You're injured? When Suyun saw Yi Zichen's pale face, a hint of worry flashed through his eyes. Ha ha ha, it's no big deal. Yi Zichen grinned, then glanced at the blood at the corner of Suyun's mouth. How did you get injured? Did he do it? Yi Zichen turned to look at the middle-aged man. When he saw Yi Zichen's gaze, the man subconsciously gulped. He was a star-state expert and his strength wasn't bad. However, in the face of several star-state experts, as well as a squad of nebula-level experts, his meager strength really didn't amount to much. What's more, how could someone with such strength be an ordinary person? No. The middle-aged man muttered to himself. What was there to be afraid of? No matter what, he was a star-state expert. He had the rights of a citizen in the universe. Even a universe expert couldn't kill him on a human-life planet. You injured my friend. This chapter isn't over. Please continue. Yi Zichen looked at the middle-aged man's face, his gaze cold and sinister. Young master. The middle-aged man subconsciously thought that Yi Zichen was the young master of a certain family, so he addressed him like that. Please allow me to explain myself. Before Yi Zichen could reply, the middle-aged man spoke up. Actually, I don't have any grudges with your friend. That cat girl is someone I fancied. I originally wanted to take her away, but your friend came to cause trouble for me. You can also ask the surrounding people. I've already tolerated your friend for a long time, but he's only gotten worse. In the universe, the strong are respected. Your friend is only at the domain level. He talked back to me multiple times, but I didn't kill him. I merely punished him slightly. This is to protect the dignity of the strong. It's only natural. Catgirl? Yi Zichen subconsciously looked towards the catgirl. There was no domain level. The girl also sneaked a peek at Yi Zichen with eyes filled with anticipation, as if she was hoping for Yi Zichen to save her. This damned universe citizenship law. Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh. Yi Zichen couldn't help but let out a long sigh in his heart. Those who aren't at the domain level cannot enjoy the protection of the universe citizen law. It's fine if it's some family heirs, since they have their families to take care of them. But for a subsidiary race of the human race without any family backing them or any experts to protect them, it was truly difficult for them to survive in the universe. Beiyu was like that before. If it wasn't for Yi Zichen, who knows what her future would have been like. Yi Zichen looked away from the catgirl. Well said. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. You're right, the strong are respected in the universe. The star-level middle-aged man revealed a look of joy. It seems like this young master is rather reasonable. He wanted to strike while the iron was hot and say a few more words, but suddenly, the middle-aged man was ruthlessly slapped in the face. That slap directly knocked his teeth to the ground, and dark red blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Young master, what are you doing? The middle-aged man covered his face. You hit my friend to protect the dignity of the strong? Yi Zichen looked at the middle-aged man's slightly swollen face. Then may I ask, am I stronger than you? You are stronger than me. The middle-aged man looked down. Then I am also protecting the dignity of the strong. Is there a problem with that? You said it yourself, didn't you? End of the chapter. Chapter 2281. Everyone watched this scene in silence. An eye for an eye. That was all Yi Zichen could do. He didn't look for those ridiculous excuses. All excuses were meaningless in the face of strength. Just one sentence. I'm stronger than you, so I'll bully you. In this universe, it couldn't be said to be absolute, but at least most of it was so. Yi Zichen actually quite liked it. Simple. Rough. There was no need for so many taboos. Strength spoke for itself. Yes. The middle-aged man lowered his head. Right now, he didn't even have the desire to resist, let alone feel angry. Just a moment ago, he felt at least a dozen auras of people stronger than him locking onto him. If he had dared to move just now, forget about the others. That cosmic system state would instantly suppress him. This cat girl, do you still want her? Yi Zichen pointed at the cat girl. Young master, your friend has taken a fancy to someone. How would I dare? Then why are you still here? The middle-aged man hurriedly left. Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh, but his heart grew even heavier as he silently clenched his fists. Fortunately, it was a star level this time. His subordinates and slaves would be able to suppress him. If it was the universe level this time, he might not do anything to Yi Zichen and Suyun, but the cat girl wouldn't be so lucky. Thank you, young master. The cat girl bit her lip and walked over, her eyes filled with gratitude. Yi Zichen subconsciously thought of Beiyu when he saw her. She was the same at that time. There's no need to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank this brother of mine. If it weren't for him, you'd already have been taken away by that person, and I wouldn't have had to show up. Thank you, Brother Su. The cat girl pursed her lips. Suyun forced a smile and said nothing. What he was thinking about now was actually very simple. If Yi had not come, How would they have ended up? Everyone returned to the castle. The cat girl naturally came back with them. Yizichin didn't know what she could do, so he let Bai-in make the arrangements, while he and Suyun sat on the rattan chairs outside the castle. If this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Master. At that moment 2 slaves walked into the castle. They were the ones who had followed Bai-in to inform Yizichin that Suyun was in trouble. What is it? Asked Yizichin. Master, please blame me. One of the slaves lowered his head towards Yizichin. It is our fault for not protecting your friend properly. Ouch! You guys are here for this. Yizichin nodded, then his expression instantly turned cold. I thought you wouldn't come looking for me. Master, please punish me. The slave lowered his head. Forget it. Suddenly, Yizichin let out a long sigh. Bai-in already explained it to me. You people on the slave planet don't have cosmic citizenship, so you can't attack people with legal cosmic citizenship. I understand. Master, the slave was moved, but Yizichin's expression darkened. Just this once. I hope this will only happen once. If it happens again, at least one of you must stay behind to protect my friend, and not let him get hurt. Leave the other problems to me. Yes. Alright, you guys have worked hard. You can go now. Yizichin's expression turned gentle. Also, get Bai-in to take you to register your cosmic citizenship. I didn't know that this sort of constitution existed before, but since I do, I'll grant you the equal rights of being a cosmic citizen. Master! The 2 slaves knelt on the ground. Yizichin waved his hand with a smile, and the 2 slaves left after kowtowing. Only then did Yizichin let out a long sigh. There's something I need to remind you of. Suyun looked up. Yizichin pursed his lips. If you see the cat girl in the future, don't get involved unless it's absolutely necessary. Yizi! Suyun looked up in surprise. He didn't expect Yizichin to say something like that. It's not that I've changed, or that I'm cold. It's just that we can't do anything about it. Yizichin rubbed his head. Do you know how many people like that there are in the entire universe? It might be 100 million times more than all the humans in the Milky Way. This sort of thing can be seen everywhere in the universe, not to mention Blue River Planet. I'll just say it like this, just now. There might have been. This chapter isn't over. Please continue. Something like that happened 100 million times. How are we supposed to do anything about it? To put it bluntly, we're all like clay bodhisattvas crossing a river. We can't even protect ourselves. Take what happened just now for example. If it was a universe level, then even I wouldn't be able to do anything about it, Yizichin said calmly. It wasn't that he'd become cold, it was just that he'd seen too much, he'd realized reality. They didn't have the ability to change the world, nor did they have the power to protect themselves. Mind other people's business. But that's only if you have the ability to mind other people's business. If this time he met a universe level or a petty person and they investigated the Milky Way galaxy, what would he do? The premise of humanity's benevolence was to ensure that their status wouldn't be shaken. They don't have the ability. Yizi, will our Milky Way galaxy become a slave planet? Suyun's eyes suddenly revealed a look of pain. His eyes turned bloodshot as he looked at the 2 leaving slaves with a conflicted expression. They were clearly humans. Just because Yizichin granted them the rights of universe citizens, their eyes were filled with gratitude. You went to save the cat girl because of this? Yizichin asked. Among the people in the Milky Way, Suyun could be said to be the calmest and least impulsive person. At first, Yizichin had thought that Suyun had his eyes on the cat girl, but after thinking about it, he felt that it didn't make sense. Until he saw Suyun's bloodshot eyes and pained expression, Yizichin knew. Suyun had the same thought as him. The Milky Way. Will it become a slave planet in the future? Will the people of the Milky Way be bullied like the cat girl in the future? Not at first, but then, Su Yun let out a long sigh and didn't continue. At first, he simply wanted to help when he saw someone he knew being bullied. But then, when the middle-aged man mentioned that she wasn't a universe citizen, he couldn't control his emotions anymore. This universe is so cold. After a long while, Su Yun let out a deep sigh. Yeah, it is, Yizichin nodded. But don't worry, our Milky Way galaxy definitely won't become a slave planet, and the people of the Milky Way galaxy definitely won't become like them in the future. End of this chapter. Chapter 2282. Based on the Milky Way galaxy's situation. The current Milky Way galaxy was a native star system of the human race. The star system didn't have a single decision-maker. The star system was sealed. It didn't trade with the outside world. The star system didn't belong to any cosmic country, and didn't enjoy the security of a cosmic country. This star system belonged to the slave masters. Or perhaps the other powerhouses liked it the most. The current Milky Way galaxy was like a mountain of gold that hadn't been excavated. Fortunately, this mountain of gold was buried very deep, and hadn't been developed by humans yet. Unfortunately, it could be discovered at any time, and the person who discovered it definitely wouldn't give up on it. Yeezy. Su Yun wanted to say something, but then stopped. To be honest, before he came to the universe, he was filled with confidence. He wanted to join hands with Yi Zichen and conquer a place of their own in the vast universe. Before he came, he was so confident. When he really came to this world that was cold to the bone, the raging fire in his heart was about to be extinguished. He never would have guessed. They, who once stood at the peak of the Milky Way galaxy, were actually at the bottom of the universe. The only fortunate thing was, they could still be considered cosmic citizens. If they weren't cosmic citizens, then he would be like the cat girl. He wouldn't even have the right to live on equal terms on this life planet. Su Yun couldn't help but think of Su Yen. His little sister, no matter what, he couldn't let that happen. That's right. The Milky Way galaxy won't become a slave planet. Su Yun's previous dispiritedness was swept away. He clenched his fists tightly, his eyes burning with passion. What was his purpose in coming here? Wasn't it to become a pioneer of the Milky Way galaxy, and forge ahead in this part of the universe? It definitely won't. Yizichin nodded with a smile. Oh yeah, how's the situation in the Milky Way galaxy right now? Why didn't you guys reply to me when I sent you guys messages on the virtual network? That's what I was going to tell you. Su Yun sorted out his emotions and grinned. The thing you gave us can't be used at all. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. Yizichin frowned. You also know that we are all very curious, not to mention the unknown universe. Not long after you left, the great sage, Yang Jian, and Xia Kiki started complaining that they wanted to see it. Even Su Luer is filled with curiosity. Even though she hasn't said anything, I can tell she's curious. Yizichin nodded. This was indeed something the great sage, Yang Jian, Kiki, and Luer would do. We discussed going up to take a look, but, the result? Yizichin repeated. There's no internet to begin with. Su Yun shrugged. After Elder Lin arrived, he told us that our Milky Way galaxy wasn't covered by the Virtual World Corporation's network. The anonymous helmet you gave us can only be used in the area covered by the Virtual World Group's network. Yizichin was instantly stunned. Then, he slapped his head hard. Wasn't that right? The reason why the entire universe could log into the virtual network was because of the network structure of the Virtual World Corporation. Milky Way. If there was a virtual world network, didn't that mean that the Milky Way galaxy had already been discovered by the Virtual World Group? If he hadn't discovered it, there wouldn't have been a virtual network. So you're saying I bought it for nothing? Yizichin smiled wryly. Not really. Su Yun shook his head. There are some local documents in the anonymous helmet. We'll be able to gain some useful knowledge from reading them. That's good. Even so, Yizichin couldn't help but want to slap himself. Too careless. He was used to using the virtual network in the universe, so he subconsciously thought that he could use it in the Milky Way. How's the strength of our Milky Way now? I'm all right. Suiyun rubbed his chin. When I left, the great sage and Yang Jian were already preparing to break through to transcendence, the domain of the universe. The strength of the other martial monarchs had also increased. I think it won't be long before our Milky Way galaxy will have a few domain-level masters. All right. Also, we have something to discuss. Suiyun continued. We don't plan to send everyone who breaks through to the universe. Someone has to stay behind in the Milky Way. No one can be sure what the future holds. If someone discovers our galaxy, you did the right thing. Yi Zichen nodded. The Milky Way definitely was. This chapter isn't over. Please continue. Someone had to stay behind. Otherwise, if they left the Milky Way after transcendence, then the Milky Way wouldn't be able to resist at all if they encountered someone from the universe. Didn't I leave behind a few slaves? Their mission is to stay behind to guard the Milky Way and provide you with knowledge of the universe. Although they're slaves, they're not weak. I also sent a 6-stage star system expert. We know, Suiyun grinned. How else do you think I broke through? Actually, even before you transcended, I felt like I was just one step away from transcendence. But I couldn't take that one step. It was the people you sent. Their guidance made me see the light. The great sage and the others were the same. Yi Zichen was overjoyed. It seemed like everyone around him understood what he meant. They were also delighted that the people he sent could indeed be of help to the Milky Way. Also, the war goddess and several major powers of the god race have already unified all the galaxies with life in the Milky Way. The experts of the other races are now with them as well. Good. Yi Zichen really didn't expect the Milky Way to change so much in the year he was gone. The unification of galaxies. That was what Yi Zichen had been planning to do. Now that the Milky Way was weak, they could only band together. They couldn't afford any more internal conflict. The former god king of destruction, Yale. He had no idea how many planets with life in the Milky Way were destroyed by the worlds outside the Milky Way. It was a huge blow to the Milky Way as well. After the unification of the galaxies, the Milky Way had to start resting and increasing its overall strength. One galaxy. If they wanted to truly rise up, it was useless to just rely on one person. Even if their ruler was a sovereign. If the clansmen of the galaxy didn't even have a domain master, then the galaxy wouldn't have a high ranking, and people wouldn't look up to them in the outside world. At most, they would be slightly more polite to them out of respect for the sovereign. What's more, who would stick their galaxy on their face? At the end of the day, status and dignity had to be fought for. Experts were just protection. True recognition came from the hard work of everyone in the galaxy. Oh yeah, I have something else to tell you. It's about Earth. End of this chapter. Chapter 2283. Inside a small manor. The middle-aged man Yi Zichen slapped was sitting in a rocking chair. In front of him was a scantily clad catwoman. He liked catwomen. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted to take him back to his manor when he saw the catwoman. At that moment, the catwoman was helping him apply medicine. Yi Zichen was also in the star level. After returning from the second universe, he'd forcefully released his divine energy, which had affected his body. However, it was also a blessing in disguise, and his strength had increased significantly. At that moment, he was already in the 6th level of the star level. Yi Zichen's slap was very sudden, and the middle-aged man didn't even have time to use his universal energy to defend himself. The entire right side of his face was swollen. He was going to see a lord later. It was already too late to use universal energy to reduce the swelling, so he could only rely on medicine. The Catwoman was already very careful with her actions, however. She still accidentally touched the middle-aged man's wound. Ugh! The middle-aged man gasped, then frowned. The Catwoman hurriedly knelt on the ground, but the middle-aged man still slapped her. Trash. That slap sent the cat racewoman flying. Then, the middle-aged man seemed to vent all of his anger towards Yi Zichen onto the catwoman. A full half an hour passed, the middle-aged man twisted his neck, his eyes dark. Then, a few people ran over and dragged the catwoman out. Damn it. Ugh, the middle-aged man couldn't help but gasp when he tore open his wound. He was a 7th-level star-level expert, yet he'd been beaten by a 6th-level star-level brat, and so badly at that. If it weren't for Yi Zichen and the others, there were even star-level experts present. How could he just swallow his anger like that? He was a tyrant in Blue River Planet's 9 districts. With his strength, he could easily live in a higher-level district. He enjoyed the feeling of being above others in a lower-level district. Who would have thought that someone like that would pop up? And that Catwoman, he'd had his eye on her for a long time. He was partial to Catwomen. Otherwise, the women in his manor wouldn't all be Catwomen. Actually, there was one more thing. There weren't any Catwomen who were too strong. At the very least, all the stray Catwomen in Blue River Planet were lowly fellows. This chapter isn't over. Please continue. Citizens of the universe. He did not need to feel any psychological burden when toying with these fellows. There was no need to worry about whether someone would come to take revenge or not. F***CK. The middle-aged man couldn't help but curse. Accompanied by the anger in his heart, he cursed out all the ugly words he knew. Perhaps this was the only way he could vent the anger in his heart. It was impossible for him to take revenge. The way he saw it, Yi Zichen was absolutely the direct descendant of some great family clan. Otherwise, there was no way he could have a Nebula-level bodyguard in the Star Realm. Moreover, the Cosmic System State Guard's level wasn't low. Why are you so angry? Is there anyone on the Blue River Star who dares to provoke you? Suddenly, laughter came from the entrance of the middle-aged man's small manor. The middle-aged man raised his head and saw 3 men walking in from his door. "My lord, why are you here?" The middle-aged man hurriedly ran up to greet him. The smile on his face was like a blooming chrysanthemum. The few of them glanced at him, then walked straight to the stone chairs in the manor and sat down. The middle-aged man silently followed behind them. "My lord, didn't I tell you to just tell me where you're staying after you arrived? I'll just go and see you. How could I trouble you to come to my place?" The 3 that came were clearly not of low status. Otherwise, the middle-aged man wouldn't have addressed them so politely. Among the 3, the one sitting in the middle had short hair, wore a sleeveless vest, and wore plain trousers. A skinny man with a pair of leather boots on his feet and a crimson dagger on his waist said with a smile. His face was red like a scar left by a scab. "No worries. Our parking spot is right over there, so we came directly." The middle-aged man nodded with a smile. The middle-aged man smiled and nodded. The thin man glanced at the ground. Not far away from him, there were bloodstains left behind by the cat racewoman that hadn't been cleaned up. "Haha," the middle-aged man hurriedly smiled coyly when he felt the man's gaze, then signaled the manor's people to clean it up. "It seems like we came at the wrong time." "My lord, what are you saying?" The middle-aged man smiled. "It's just a small matter, you don't have to worry about it. What are you doing here on Blue River Planet? You didn't say anything in the virtual network. How about this, since you've just arrived, I'll give you a welcome. I happen to know a shop that's filled with cat people that were just brought over from Poland. This chapter isn't finished, please continue. After so many years, your interests haven't changed at all." The man in the middle smiled and said, "We won't be enjoying those cat people, we came here with a mission." "Mission?" The middle-aged man didn't understand. "The mission the young master gave us." "Young master?" When the middle-aged man heard this, he was shocked. He knew what kind of person these people called young master was. That young master was a true heir of a large family. His father was also an important person in the Virtual World Company. Not to mention the small by now galaxy, even among the universe countries, His position was high. "What does this young master want you to do?" the middle-aged man instinctively wanted to ask, but quickly realized that he was asking too much and quickly shut his mouth. "My apologies, my lord, I spoke too much." "It's nothing," the man was still smiling as he shook his head and said. "Originally, we came to look for you, this time to ask for a small favor." "Me?" The middle-aged man pointed at himself and stared. Very quickly, he was at a loss. To be able to work for this young master was a great opportunity. If he did well and received the young master's appreciation, even if he couldn't become the young master's trusted aide, with the young master's generosity, it would be easy for him to live a carefree life for thousands of years. "My lord, please tell me, as long as I, Hacker, can do it, I won't hesitate." The middle-aged man thumped his chest loudly. "Blue River Planet is your home. If I want you to find someone on Blue River Planet, it should be easy," the man said. This, no matter what, Blue River Planet was a place with billions of humans living. Finding someone was like finding a needle in a haystack. Feeling the man's expression change, the middle-aged man hurriedly nodded. "No problem." "Good." The man nodded satisfactorily. "I need you to find this person for me within 3 days. We were delayed on the way here, and the young master is already a little anxious." "My lord, don't you want me to see who that person is?" "It's him." The man took out a card that looked like a picture from his chest. The moment he saw the person on the card, the middle-aged man's pupils constricted, his palms thumping his chest. "Leave it to me. I promise you, I'll definitely find him within 3 days. End of this chapter. Chapter 2284. Text of the Red Packet Server. Chapter 2279. Warlord level? Star level. The middle-aged man swore. "Someone really gave me a pillow when I was sleepy. What a cycle of reincarnation." It was fine if it was anyone else, but the middle-aged man didn't dare to agree so easily. The person in front of him, it was Yizichin, who had just slapped him and snatched the cat girl away from him. However, he wasn't too sure yet. Just what was the relationship between that young master and Yizichin? If they were friends, the middle-aged man felt a little apprehensive as he asked cautiously. Sire, can I ask, what is his relationship with young master?" "Why are you asking this?" The man frowned. Sire. To be honest, do you see the wound on my face? It was hit by this person." Haka gulped as his heart raced. "Oh." The man raised his eyebrows. The 3 people looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. "He hit you." "When and where?" 2 hours ago," Haka replied. The location was outside the Blue River Planet branch of the District 9 Joint Dueling Arena. The moment Haka said that, everyone revealed a look of pity. If he had come a bit earlier, they might have been able to complete the mission. During this time, Haka paid attention to the 3 people's expressions. From their eyes, he didn't feel like he was in trouble. Now that I think about it, that guy doesn't seem to be friends with young master. With that thought, Haka felt a lot more at ease. How strong is he? What level of the universe? At that moment, the man on the left spoke up. Universe? Haka stuttered when he heard this. Could he be a warlord? The moment he said that, the 3 people frowned. Warlord? He was only in the 7th level of the star level. Universe level was something he could only look up to. These people actually said that Yizichin was of the universe level. And a warlord? Sire, this guy is only in the 6th level of the star level. Haka pointed at the image on the crystal card. Star level. All of a sudden, the 3 people were shocked. How? The 3 frowned in their hearts. The target could clearly control the fire element. To become a controller, one had to be at least a universe level. Are you sure it's this person? The man in the middle pointed at the image to confirm. It's definitely him. Haka nodded vigorously. Even if he turns into ashes, I'll still be able to recognize him. It's definitely this person. Since he's in the 6th level of the star body realm, would you be beaten up by him? You've been beaten, yet you're still throwing a tantrum here. Isn't your realm higher than his? The man asked. If he was alone, of course I wouldn't be afraid. It's just that he has many guards. What level? There are a few stellar states and a few stellar states. Only at the nebula system. They looked at each other again and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Are you sure it's him? The man asked again. I'm sure. All right, then go find him. Once you've figured out where he lives, let us know. The man sitting in the middle said, You don't have to worry. This person is the person that young master wants to deal with. Once you find him, we will go over. It can be considered as revenge for you. Yes. Haka straightened his body. This is $30 million. The middle-aged man took out a card from his pocket. Consider it your commission. Thank you, sir. Haka swallowed his saliva and took the card. He knew that doing things for young master definitely wouldn't be for free. $30 million was enough for him to live happily on Blue River Star for thousands of years. Seeing Haka's expression, the people in the seats couldn't help but smile. To them, this amount of money was nothing. After this is done, we will give you another sum of money. This sum will definitely be much more than what you have now. You just have to find this person as soon as possible, and the benefits will definitely be yours. Seeing Haka holding onto the card, the man smiled and said, Then, sir, if it's possible, can I not take that money? Can you introduce me to young master? Haka asked carefully. You want to work for young master? The man asked. Yes. Haka nodded vigorously. The man said, Do you know how to play games? Half an hour later, the three people in the seats left Haka's manor. Haka, who stood at the entrance and bowed as they left, maintained this posture for several minutes before standing up. He held the crystal card in his left hand, while he held Yi Zichen's image in his right hand. His eyes revealed a cold smile. You really are courting death. How can you piss off that young master? Haka spat fiercely at Yi Zichen's image, then quickly wiped it clean with his sleeve and put it away. However, he didn't expect that. The grudge between Yi Zichen and that young master actually started in a game. As expected of that young master and in a game. Grudges have to be solved in reality. When the other lords found out that Haka didn't play games, they all shook their heads towards him and acted like they couldn't help him even if they wanted to. This caused him to be a bit confused. Is the game that important? Why must he play games? Isn't it fine to just be a dog? Yi Zichen shrugged. Haka didn't think too much about it. Although it was a bit of a pity that he couldn't follow that young master, the lords all promised to give him a large sum of money after the matter was done. With that money, he could live happily in Blue River Planet for a long time. Haka touched the crystal card in his hand and revealed a joyful expression. Men! Haka shouted towards the manor. Not long later, several domain-level subordinates appeared in front of him. How's that cat girl? Dead. The subordinate replied. When we brought her out, she was already dead. Haka laughed coldly, but didn't take it to heart. So what if she's dead? I've already gotten sick of her. You guys. Here. You guys know the cat girl that I fancied before, the one that works in the dueling arena, right? Yes. Go and check if she has any relatives in Blue River Planet, or any relatives in the neighboring planet. After you find out, come back and tell me. I will only give you 1 day. Understood. Also this person. Haka took out Yi Zichen's image. Check this person as well. Find out where he lives. I can provide it to you. He should be in the core area. Here's 500,000 Banao dollars. Haka took out a pouch of money. This money will be used for your expenses. I also need to confirm the location of this person's residence within a day. Yes, my lord. The subordinates grabbed the money with trembling hands, while Haka squinted his eyes and sat on the chair. All right, go do what you need to do. With that, Haka touched his waist and left the manor. He already couldn't wait to find a few catgirl girls, especially one that he had his eyes on for a long time. It was just that the price was too high now that he had several tens of millions of Bunau dollars. If he didn't go, he would feel sorry for himself. As for Yi Zichen and the cat girl, he didn't need to worry about them. He believed that his subordinates could handle them very well. TSK, just wait for your death. Haka shook his head with a smile, then stopped thinking about Yi Zichen and ran excitedly towards his sweet home. End of this chapter. Chapter 2285. Text of the Red Packet Server. Chapter 2280. Evolution of the entire population. At that moment Yi Zichen had no idea that danger was heading his way. He stood in the courtyard of the castle and looked at Su Yun with a frown. Just now he still hadn't completely digested what Su Yun had told him. See beasts attacking? Ferocious beasts attacking the city? Evolution of the entire population. Don't worry. Su Yun could tell that Yi Zichen was worried about Earth's situation when he saw his frown. It's just the evolution of animals and sea creatures. With Lu Erjie watching over Earth, what do you think they can do? I can't believe you talked about the apocalypse so casually. For them, all of this was acceptable. With Su Lu and the others around, Earth wouldn't suffer a devastating blow. But for the humans of Earth, this was a catastrophe. Do you dare think about it? The cat that once lay in your arms and licked your fingers suddenly evolved into an extremely aggressive beast. They, who were used to living in the city, the world had suddenly become an era of danger. Su Yun was stunned. He looked into Yi Zichen's eyes and nodded. You're right. If one were to consider this problem from the perspective of ordinary people on Earth, it would indeed be a disaster. Su Yun couldn't help but reflect. He used to be a normal person on Earth, but due to a series of events, he became further and further away from the word normal. So much so that now, when he thought about the problem, he subconsciously stopped thinking about it as a normal person and looked at it from a macro perspective. Why did it suddenly become like this? Yi Zichen frowned. Old Man Lin said that it's because our Milky Way galaxy started to connect with the universe, and the cosmic energy flowed in. That's why it became like this, said Su Yun. He said, actually, all the galaxies in the universe are like this. It's just that the Milky Way galaxy we were in was special. Hearing that, Yi Zichen nodded. That did seem to be the case. During the time he lived in the universe, he could feel the abundant cosmic energy everywhere, but he didn't feel it on Earth. Cosmic energy could strengthen human genes. It was also the existence of this energy that caused humans in many galaxies to be born with extremely high strength. They had extremely high strength. If converted to the Milky Way's classification of strength, many people were born with the strength of immortals or deities. The Milky Way galaxy had also started to receive cosmic energy. To the Milky Way, Yi Zichen felt like it wasn't a bad thing. As Su Yun said, sea and land animals are evolving, and so are humans. The humans of the Milky Way, their overall strength would be greatly improved. How is the overall strength of humans now, and how are the casualties from the evolution of the dire beasts? Earth? Yes. Among the many life planets in the Milky Way galaxy, Earth was the only life planet that didn't have its citizens practicing martial arts. On the other planets, they knew how to cultivate from a young age. Even if those planets obtained cosmic energy and caused the beasts to change, they would be able to react immediately. The casualties aren't too great. Not really. Yun, just tell me the truth. There's no need to beat around the bush between us, said Yi Zichen. I'm not afraid of you thinking too much. Su Yun scratched his head, then spread his hands and told them the truth. Actually, the casualties were still very high. During the early stages of evolution, these people were not on Earth. They were all on the Protoss planet, which was a high-level plane. The very beginning of evolution. It was an old man who collected trash. He punched randomly, but his movements were powerful. When the video was uploaded online, everyone thought it was some special effect. Less than 3 days later, More and more people began to feel their strength increase, and their spiritual power increase. This sudden increase in strength gave rise to chaos. Some people began to use their newfound strength to commit crimes and commit atrocities. Their superiors used force to suppress them, but the effects weren't obvious. In the past, firearms had held absolute power. After the entire population evolved, they were practically useless. Many people's spiritual power increased, and so did their reflexes. Sometimes they couldn't even kill with a gun. The humans on Earth began to fall into chaos. Little did they know this was just the beginning of disaster. The evolution of human genes increased their abilities in all aspects. It was the same for animals. On the 15th day of the evolution of human genes, the first incident of an evolved animal attacking a human appeared. It started with a pet dog. While fleeing with its owner, it suddenly bared its fangs and bit its owner to death. After all, the dog's owner was also an evolved person. However, he didn't want to get involved in this chaotic conflict. He wanted to find a peaceful place to continue his life. After this incident, more and more animals began to show obvious aggression, and their bodies also changed a lot from the past. In the report of Earth News, someone once saw a mammoth grow to a height of more than 10 meters in less than 10 seconds in front of him. It was also the emergence of such a situation. The once chaotic humans on Earth began to unify. In order to survive, they had to stick together. According to the analysis of experts, some of these evolved animals seemed to have human-like intelligence. This was definitely an analytical conclusion that made people despair. No one was willing to believe the experts, because, if the experts' deduction was true, then humans would face an unprecedented survival crisis. But sometimes the truth was just that despairing. On the third day of this analysis, a large number of berserk beasts began to attack humans, occupying the city, attacking the human land. In fact, this was not too bad. One had to know that the sea was actually the most worrying problem for humans, because so far humans hadn't fully understood everything in the sea. And this time's evolution, it also caused the coastal cities to suffer the most fatal blow. Among them, Neon suffered the most tragic loss. In less than 3 days, it all fell. Half a month passed. There weren't many human countries left on Earth. Among them, the Huaxia dynasty was the most united. It was also one of the more intact countries among the dynasties. Despite the disaster, humans still didn't give up their final resistance. Until, after that, we came. Su Yun couldn't help but let out a long sigh. By the time we received the news, it was already too late. Under those circumstances, Su Lu directly unleashed her breath of ice and froze the most dangerous parts of the ocean. All of it? Yi Zichen asked. My Lu big sister is truly invincible. End of chapter. Chapter 2286. Text of the Red Packet Server Chapter 2281. The totem protects the goddess of ice. She froze the entire ocean. Of all the people Yi Zichen knew, only Su Lu could do something like that. Yi Zichen could imagine a school of sharks and other ferocious sea beasts attacking human cities. Su Lu descended from the heavens and turned all of them into ice sculptures. It was absolutely spectacular. That's it. From Su Yun's expression, it seemed like it was about to end. Did you think? Su Yun smiled wryly. Big Sister Lu scared all the ferocious beasts on Earth. Everyone that could run ran. In any case, I didn't see a single one of them attack a human city before I left. Big Sister Lu is truly amazing. Su Lu single-handedly saved the entire human race from disaster. Oh right, Su Lu is now the totem guardian deity of Earth. She's called the goddess of ice and snow, said Su Yun. Yi Zichen could sense a hint of jealousy in his expression. Totem? Guardian deity? Yi Zichen was shocked. Yeah, Su Yun shrugged. Su Yun shrugged. If you go back to Earth, you'll know. She's doing very well right now. It's too bad she hasn't condensed godhood. If she did, her telekinesis could send her to transcendence. That works, Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile. Then what are the humans on Earth doing right now? Rebuilding cities, Suiyun replied. The human cities on Earth were heavily damaged, so they're currently being rebuilt. Also, don't be too surprised when you go back. There are only 6 countries on Earth now, and China is the leader. Oh wow, isn't that great? Yi Zichen smiled. I think it's great too, Suiyun also laughed. Suiyun also grinned. The two of them, born and bred in the Huaxia dynasty, smiled ambiguously. But you still didn't say how many people died. Yi Zichen's expression suddenly darkened once more. Not much, Suiyun shrugged. There are roughly 1.2 billion people on Earth right now. China has 600 million of them. That's already very impressive. In other words, there's still 800 million. Yi Zichen didn't continue. Since Suiyun said that there was 600 million, there was no need for him to calculate that. What's more, there were only 1.2 billion people on Earth, and it was already good enough that China could keep 600 million of them. Has the security problem been improved? Of course. With Big Sister Lure here, who would dare to mess around? Suiyun pursed his lips. Right now, Yin Shang is your minister of the left. You're Lu Er's spokesperson. You're in charge of discussing the future of Yin Shang. Lori, Go Yuzhan, Su Yan, and Kiki established a dojo. Dojo? Yi Zichen frowned. Yes, they actually didn't want to, but let me tell you, if it weren't for this disaster, I really wouldn't have known. They have talented people in other countries. Right now, there are 4 dojos in 6 countries. They say they're cooperating with each other, but they're actually competing with each other, replied Suiyun. I understand. Before the extinction of the human race, humans could put aside the grudges between races and countries and cooperate for the sake of survival. Now that Lu Er had appeared, the disaster had been resolved. Considering future developments, it was naturally difficult for them to continue working together. However, Yi Zichen was rather confused. Competition? What could they compete for? To provide talents for the world? See, you're thinking of it as simple as you think. Suiyun saw through Yi Zichen's thoughts and grinned. To compete for resources and talents. If you think about it this way, right now, dojos can actually be considered sections. The more people there are, the more resources they can obtain. Right now, the Earth seems to be in tatters. But there are treasures everywhere. Whether it's ores, vegetation, or the bones, teeth, fur, or claws of vicious beasts. They're all products of evolution. Let me tell you this. After evolution, cat nails are sharper than steel blades. The same goes for ores. Do you really think the countries won't fight over these resources in the future? Yi Zichen understood. He'd never considered this problem before. When Suiyun put it that way, it was true. These resources had to be fought for. Only by obtaining more resources could the country become more prosperous and prosperous. Who suggested this idea? Asked Yi Zichen. Your wife, said Suiyun. Which one? F*CKU. All of a sudden, Suiyun panicked. He was still a loner. Wasn't Yi Zichen purposefully angering him by asking him which one? What's more, he was Su Yan's big brother. How many women did his little sister's man have? If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't beat Yi Zichen, he would have kicked Yi Zichen a few times. Xiao Yumei, Suiyun frowned. She's right, Yi Zichen smiled. Xiao Yumei had always had a brain in that area, so she was able to see things quite clearly. Of course, at our level and status, we shouldn't have such thoughts. What we need is the evolution and increase of strength for all of humanity, but we were born in China, so a bit of favoritism is inevitable. Anyways, I secretly left some good stuff for our Chinese leaders before I left. Look at Yin Shang, he even accused me. Suiyun smiled once again. Yi Zichen nodded as well. That was true. What they wanted to see was the improvement of all of humanity, but they were all humans, not saints. They would definitely have their own selfish desires. What did he accuse you of? Yi Zichen frowned. He didn't feel like Su Yun did anything wrong. No matter what, Yin Shang was one of his people. He actually dared to help an outsider. He actually accused me of leaving too little, and said that I'm stingy. Su Yun was furious. F***ck, I risked my life to get all of my treasures. He's already giving me a lot of face by leaving a bit. No matter how many years have passed, Su Yun's stingy personality has never changed. Oh yeah, I suddenly thought of something. Yi Zichen was stunned. Yi Zichen was stunned, then said solemnly. Did you make Lu Erjie's nationality label clear? It's our China, right? What? I'm afraid that those people. I don't want Lu Erjie to become one of them in the end. Did you forget that the Dragon Boat Festival was theirs, Chu Yuan was theirs, and the paper-making technique was theirs? If Lu Erjie becomes one of them as well, then I'll be really pissed off. Them, Su Yun waved his hand and smiled nonchalantly. Their country has already been destroyed. It has already been divided into one of our cities. Don't be afraid, it's all ours from now on. End of the chapter. Chapter 2287. Text of Red Envelope Group Chapter 2282. Crisis Insight. The whole castle was filled with laughter. For this matter, those who knew this joke would naturally understand, but for those who didn't, they should all be from abroad. Until evening, Yi Zichen and Su Yun sat in the courtyard of the castle and chatted about what had happened recently. During this period, Yi Zichen also reminded Su Yun not to mention anything about the Milky Way to anyone. Right now, the interior of the universe was also very chaotic. The Virtual World Corporation's big move seemed to be about to start a war. Although the Milky Way galaxy's bounty had been withdrawn, danger still lurked everywhere. I know. During his time here, Su Yun had learned a few things about the universe. He was a cautious person by nature. In an unknown environment, he knew he had to remain silent. Yi, where are you? A low call sounded out from within the castle. Even with his eyes closed, Yi Zichen could tell that Bard was playing. Su Yun looked up, confusion in his eyes. A friend I met here. As soon as he finished speaking, Bart walked out of the castle with his big belly. Yi, have you seen Bei Yin? You really should lose some weight. Yi Zichen couldn't help but facepalm when he saw Bard's belly. Yi Zichen guessed that Bei Yin's refusal to accept him was most likely due to Bard's big belly. Bei Yin, why this is… Bard was stunned when he noticed Su Yun. Perfect, I'll introduce you two to each other. This is Bader, a good friend I met on Blue River Star, said Yi Zichen. Hello. Su Yun nodded. This is my good brother from my hometown, Su Yun. He just reached the domain level and came out to train, Yi Zichen smiled. Good brother. Bard frowned as if he was jealous. You guys are good brothers. I'm just a friend. Alright, I know my place in your heart. With that, Bard walked towards Su Yun. Let's be brothers. Don't be brothers with him. He doesn't do proper work every day and always makes people worry. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Su Yun paused for a moment, then burst into laughter. Yi Zi, this brother is really interesting. He's always been like that, Yi Zichen shrugged. For a good half an hour after a while, Bei Yin, whom Bard had been longing for, finally came back. As soon as they returned to the castle, Bard shamelessly approached them. Late at night, Bei Yin and her sisters from Planet Shell prepared a sumptuous meal for Su Yun and company to welcome them. At the banquet, Su Yun turned into his brother-in-law and repeatedly asked Yi Zichen about his relationship with the women in the castle. Haha, are you his brother-in-law? Bada's face was red. He was still holding a glass of Blue River Star's special wine. Yi Zi, I didn't expect you to already have a wife. TSK, he's a womanizer. Su Yun looked drunk as well. Let me tell you, he has many female friends. My sister and him are really… It's hard to explain. Haha, unexpected. Bard and Su Yun blushed as they chatted. Yi Zichen maintained his smile. He didn't join them, nor did he leave, nor did he tell them to stop. He didn't want to spoil everyone's mood. He was also afraid that Su Yun would say something he shouldn't, so he could only sit there and watch. If Su Yun really did say it, he would stop him in time and end the banquet. Yi, I have something to say. The machine race's optical computer suddenly spoke. Hearing that, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. What is it? Then, Bailey said a few words in his mind. Hearing that, Yi Zichen frowned. I understand, let's talk about this later. Pay close attention during this period of time and see what their intentions are. Leave it to me, Bailey nodded. Don't get noticed by them. TSK, just them. With a snicker, Bailey disappeared from Yi Zichen's shoulder. Su Yun and Bard drank for more than 2 hours. In the end, they were so drunk that they couldn't even speak clearly. Only when the two of them collapsed onto the table did Yi Zichen carry them back to their rooms. Bei-in, I'll have to trouble you here, Yi Zichen said as he looked at the mess in the room. That's what I should do. When Yi Zichen returned to his room and locked the door from the inside, he called Bailey out again. How's the situation? Nothing much has changed. They have been investigating your information, so I gave them fake information. Bailey smiled proudly. Hearing that, Yi Zichen frowned. Just now, Bailey contacted him and told him that he was investigating Yi Zichen's personal information. Someone was investigating Yi Zichen's personal information. Suddenly, someone was investigating him. The first thing that Yi Zichen thought of was whether his identity would be suspected. No matter what, he wasn't someone from the Banao galaxy. His identity was actually a fake identity, even though he logged in as a universe citizen in the Banao galaxy. However, his previous residence and resume were all blank. Also, Beiyu's capture earlier. Those people were also preparing to strip her memories. Yi Zichen couldn't help but suspect that someone was suspecting him. Can you find out who is investigating me? Wait, let me try. The machine race had very high talent and abilities in this area. Bailey popped up not long after he immersed himself in the virtual network. I found it, the source is within Blue River Planet. Blue River Planet? Yi Zichen frowned. Yes, the login and logout points are both Blue River Planet, Bailey nodded. Logout? They already stopped investigating? Yeah, these people seem to be investigating where you live. I gave them a few fake information, then they all logged out of the virtual network after they received it. They didn't investigate anything related to you anymore. Logged out of the virtual network. There were only 2 possibilities. One was that they couldn't find anything, so they could only give up. The other was that they already obtained the information they wanted, so nothing else was important to them. From Yi Zichen's perspective, the reason they logged out of the virtual network was clearly the second. Because Bailey mentioned that he gave them some information, then they logged out in satisfaction. Investigating where I live. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. All of a sudden, he couldn't think of what those people's goal was. Can you find out anything about them? Easy. Bailey smiled confidently, then reappeared from the virtual network in less than 10 minutes. Found it, Haka sent people to investigate you. Haka? Yi Zichen frowned. Yi Zichen had no impression of this name. It's this person. Before Bailey finished. Then, a photo of a human appeared in front of Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and nodded. So it's him. End of the chapter. Chapter 2288. Text of the Red Packet Server Chapter 2283. Dealing with hacker Yi Zichen was afraid of this sort of person. After beating him up, there would be even more trouble in the future. How long has it been? Has he already started to send people to investigate where I live? Did he come to my castle to cause trouble? Yi Zichen looked outside. The castle was heavily guarded. There were more than 30 stellar rank guards and more than 10 stellar rank guards. Yi Zichen had asked Bei-in to help him buy all of them. Hacker was a 7th level star level. Coming to my place is just seeking death. Or rather, He hired an assassin? Are you sure it's him? Yi Zichen asked subconsciously. It wasn't that he didn't trust Bei Li's investigative abilities, it was just that he wanted to confirm it. I'm sure. Bei Li nodded solemnly. I hacked into the Virtual World Corporation and the city's surveillance system. The people who investigated you are from the housing exchange. They contacted a few people earlier, they are Hacker's subordinate. Then I investigated Hacker. Bei Li spoke for 5 whole minutes before he finished telling Yi Zichen all of his achievements. During that time, Yi Zichen did not interrupt him. Actually, he just wanted to confirm it. There was no need for Bei Li to explain so much. However, since Bei Li wanted to show off his strength, Yi Zichen allowed him to continue. With that, Bei Li puffed out his chest like a little kid asking for praise in order to get Yi Zichen's praise. Well done! As expected of the prince of the machine race, you were able to hack into the Virtual World Corporation and the city's surveillance system. Amazing! Yi Zichen gave him a thumbs up. Bei Li's proud nose grew several centimeters. Then look, I, Bei Li, am a genius of the machine race. Ha ha ha, Yi Zichen laughed. Yi Zichen laughed. Then I'll have to trouble you, genius prince of the machine race, to help me investigate Hacker's current location. You found out where he is. Bei Li frowned. Yes. What are you looking for him for? You can't be thinking of. Am I supposed to wait for him to cause trouble for me? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Find out where he is. This guy is a disaster if he's alive. No problem. Bei Li's eyes instantly brightened. I love doing this sort of thing. A long street covered with pink neon lights. The streets were filled with infatuated men with lewd smiles on their faces. There were even a few scantily clad women following them. There was a rotten smell everywhere. This was the red light district of Blue River Star. Compared to Earth, this kind of red light district existed legally on Blue River Star. On the roof of the street, a few people wearing black clothes and face masks hurriedly disappeared from the roof. No one noticed their presence. It wasn't until they came to a shop with a cat logo on the signboard that they stopped. Don't waste time. Master's goal is clear, right? Understood. Under the night sky, the men in black clothes nodded in agreement. Go down. Shio shio shio, the few men in black jumped down from the roof. They did not use the back door or the broken window, but directly entered from the front door. In less than half a minute, a large number of customers ran out of the shop, and not long after, a few men in black clothes came out of the shop. They held Hacker's anonymous crystal card in their hands. Then, he took out a signal flare from his pocket. He sent out a signal in front of everyone. Let's go. The entire process took less than 5 minutes. When they left and the customers returned to the shop, they saw blood flowing out of a room on the second floor. Hacker was lying in a pool of blood. A workat beauty squatted in the corner of the room and looked at the scene in front of her in fear. It's over. Yi Zichen, who sat in the courtyard of the castle, revealed a smile. The men in black clothes were his slaves, and the signal flare they released was specially modified to be able to be seen clearly even from several districts away. The signal was green. This meant that they had succeeded. Hacker was already dead. You humans are all so cautious. Or is it just you? Bei Li sat on Yi Zichen's shoulder with a hint of fear. I'm starting to wonder if the person just now was really you. What is it? Yi Zichen tilted his head. Find out Hacker's location. Send the slaves over. Don't waste time and directly kill him. After successfully releasing the signal, leave Blue River Star and not return to the castle. Isn't that normal? Yi Zichen smiled wryly. Star-level experts already had the status of cosmic citizens. What's more, in a small place like Blue River Star, the status of a star-level expert wasn't low. The local management office would definitely investigate his death. If they returned to the castle, they would definitely be tracked down. If they reported the situation through the virtual network, they might also be tracked down. Using the signal flare, Yi Zichen could clearly see that they had already killed the target. That was the best way to deal with it. He believed that there was definitely a better way, but time was of the essence. Yi Zichen didn't want to waste too much time in case something happened. The slaves sent to assassinate Hacker, Yi Zichen had carefully selected a few experts with good mental fortitude who were at the cosmic system level. These people were placed in a hidden place after they were bought. Outsiders didn't know that they were Yi Zichen's people, and they weren't contacted by Yi Zichen's people. It could be said that, even if the local management office found out about the three of them, they definitely wouldn't be able to link it to Yi Zichen. You humans are truly terrifying. Bailey shook his head, as if he was shocked at how Yi Zichen handled the situation. Humans are terrifying? Isn't the machine race the best at calculations? Yi Zichen shrugged. We are, but we don't have as many bad intentions as you humans, Bailey shouted as he stood on Yi Zichen's shoulder. I get angry just thinking about it. The reason I was captured by the Master of the Galaxy was because he tricked me with his words. Now that I think about it, I'm so pissed. Ha ha ha, Yi Zichen laughed, but didn't say anything else. Yi Zichen let out a sigh of relief when Hacker was dealt with. However, he felt that the problem wasn't that simple. He was just a 7th-level star system human. He also knew very well that Yi Zichen had several star system level guards with him. If he wanted to hire assassins to kill Yi Zichen without anyone noticing, he would need to be at least a universe level to be able to escape unscathed. Hiring a universe level assassin, Yi Zichen didn't think that Hacker would be able to afford it. As for who exactly was using Hacker to investigate him, Yi Zichen didn't know. Anyway, the problem in front of him had been dealt with. What kind of problems would there be in the future? I'll deal with it when it comes. Bailey, what? Bailey was still rather annoyed, so his tone was very unfriendly. Help me buy some goods online that can increase my strength. Goods? Bailey frowned. Weapons? Or? For consumption, that's pretty expensive. You've pretty much used up all your money. How about you go in and get some? Bailey asked. The go in, he was naturally referring to the second universe. I'll go in when I really don't have any left. You have to go in eventually, Bailey shrugged. He understood very well that the second universe was the only way to support Yi Zichen's consumption. Anyways, I'm reminding you, if you don't go in now, you're going to finish all your elemental fairy crystals. You won't be able to replenish them, we'll see. Yi Zichen sighed, then spoke up. Help me take a look at the consumables that apprentices can use. I need a lot of them. Apprentice? Bailey was shocked. Yes, apprentice. Yi Zichen nodded. He naturally didn't buy them for himself. He didn't need them to increase his strength at all. All he had to do was wait for the elements to repay him. Those expensive consumables were too extravagant for him. However, it wouldn't be a problem for an apprentice to use cheap. The reason he bought them was to send them back to Earth. Since humans had already evolved on Earth, then he would speed up the evolution of humans on Earth. End of this chapter. Chapter 2289. Text of Red Envelope Group Chapter 2284. The duel about half an hour. Yi Zichen picked out a few from the many consumables that Bailey provided. Most of them were drinks. Speaking of which, it was quite interesting. These drinks were the most common energy drinks in the universe. Yi Zichen didn't expect them to become the stores that Yi Zichen chose to buy to help the humans of Earth increase their strength. The effect of this energy drink was, if an ordinary person consumed 10 milliliters of it, they would be able to reach the apprentice level. The apprentice level was more or less the same as the body refining level of cultivators. It could significantly improve one's physical fitness. There was also a drink that could be consumed by martial warriors. After consuming it, one could become a high-level martial warrior. In other words, from foundation establishment to the peak of foundation establishment. In order to ensure that Earth had enough drinks, Yi Zichen told Bailey to buy 50 million tons online. This was enough for the humans on Earth to consume for 100 years. It might have been the store's first time meeting a big customer like Yi Zichen, so they directly gave him a 5% discount and even gave him a spatial container. Ding! Respected Universe Gold Card user, you have spent 110,000 Universe dollars on the virtual network. I didn't expect it to be so expensive for apprentices and warriors. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile wryly as he looked at the information on the virtual network. 110,000 Universe dollars. A few normal universe levels, their entire wealth might not even be that much. You don't have to spend these, Bailey said. I've found a few less effective ones for you. It's not that you don't want them, but you insist on these high-grade ones. Even star ranks wouldn't be willing to drink this kind of energy drink. You're actually giving it to apprentices and warriors? How extravagant. Didn't you say that the medicine has side effects? Said Yi Zichen. Haven't you heard that medicine is 30% poisonous? Bailey frowned. Since it's a medicinal solution, there will definitely be side effects. However, the price will be several times cheaper. Forget it. Since he already bought it, Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to fuss over it. What's more, he didn't lack money at the moment. What he cared about the most was to be able to better improve the strength of humans on Earth. However, no wonder the universe level had no way to protect a planet. Putting aside his strength, he did not have enough money to elevate the human race on this planet. To remind you, the universe dollars in your account have already been overdrawn. The universe gold card can be overdrawn for 120 days, and your quota can still support your elemental sprite for about 6 days. And this is because the fire elemental sprite is in hibernation, saving us quite a bit of money. If it wakes up, also, it's almost time to repay the overdrawn funds. In any case, you should do as you see fit. I understand. Yi Zichen couldn't help but pinch his head. Regardless of whether he wanted to enter the second universe or not, the current situation was already forcing him to enter. Are we really going? When Yi Zichen recalled what had happened that night and how he'd managed to escape death, he couldn't help but get a headache. Overdraft. Oh no. He should have listened to Bailey's instigation. If he didn't overdraft himself, he wouldn't have to go. At most, the elemental spirits wouldn't eat crystals. Now the money in the bank, he had to go. There was also the fire elemental sprite. Ever since he had absorbed the origin energy of the mature elemental sprite, it had been in a deep slumber for a very long time. Until now, there were no signs of it waking up. If it weren't for the fact that the other elemental spirits had confirmed that there was nothing wrong with him, Yi Zichen was rather worried that something had happened to him. I hope it will give me a surprise when it wakes up. Yi Zichen firmly believed that the fire elemental sprite had definitely benefited greatly from its slumber. After awakening, his strength would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. 3 days after that, Bada took them on a tour of the Blue River planet with him. He had been to almost every place he could go. A place that he couldn't go to, Bard went by himself. Yi Zichen and Suiyun didn't go. Don't overthink it. It was the casino of the Blue River Star. Yi Zichen and Suiyun had limited resources, and they didn't have any interest in that area, so they didn't go. During this period, Hacker's death had already been investigated by the agency. Yi Zichen had been paying close attention to the progress of the matter, but up until now, he hadn't found anything that pointed to him. This put Yi Zichen at ease. He was really afraid that the investigative ability of the Bureau here was amazing, and that they could find out that he was the real culprit behind the scenes from some clues. From the looks of it, that was all. Forget about finding Yi Zichen. He couldn't even find his slaves. These 3 days were considered a dangerous period. If they couldn't find it within these 3 days, then it would be very difficult to find it in the future. It's you, right? Suiyun immediately looked towards Yi Zichen when he saw the report. Who else could it be if not me? Yi Zichen shrugged. There was nothing for him to hide from Suiyun. He wasn't afraid that Suiyun would tell on him. It's good that I'm dead, it saves me trouble. Suiyun didn't even bother asking for a reason. That's right. Yi Zichen nodded. The reason they were able to become good friends was because they were once roommates. Another thing they had in common was that they didn't like trouble. Hacker stayed, regardless of whether he came to find Yi Zichen's location or not. He would definitely have other troubles while he was alive. Getting rid of him now would be the end of it all. Did you deal with it properly? You didn't leave anything behind, right? There should be no problem. Look, we still haven't found any ferocious beast. According to how we do things on Earth, 3 days later should be the safe period. You can't think of it like that. Earth and the universe are different. Suiyun didn't agree with Yi Zichen's thoughts. People in the universe have long enough lifespans so they can handle cases endlessly. In short, you can't be careless. Don't worry, there won't be any problems. That was the end of the matter regarding Hacker. Suiyun didn't pursue the topic, but Yi Zichen saw him purse his lips, as if he wanted to say something. What happened? Yi, can you lend me some money? Suiyun rubbed his hands together. I want to see a higher level duel, to Suiyun's words. Yi Zichen understood what he meant. Before he saw Yi Zichen, he'd stayed in the arena and watched their duel. According to Suiyun, from those people's duels, he could learn something. Previously, he had only watched low-level arenas. Even so, he had spent most of his money, and he had borrowed it from Yi Zichen's slaves. Haha, there's no need for us to talk about borrowing. Yi Zichen patted his shoulder with a smile. Do you have a crystal card from the universe? Yes. Suiyun nodded. There were bets in the arena, and he would occasionally participate in them. The money he won would be transferred to the card, so he wouldn't be able to get the bets if he didn't have a crystal card. Give me the account number. Not long later, Suiyun told Yi Zichen the account number. Yi Zichen immediately told Bailey to transfer the money over. Not even half a minute later, Suiyun, who had already received the message, glared at Yi Zichen. Yi, it's enough for you to use for a while, Yi Zichen smiled. F***ck, it's more than enough for me to use for a while. Suiyun couldn't help but shout. Yi Zichen had just transferred 200,000 universe dollars to him. Watching a low-level arena was only 3,000 Blue River dollars. Yi, it seems like you suffered quite a bit in the universe. Suiyun's expression suddenly darkened when he saw the transfer, then smiled wryly at Yi Zichen. Perhaps other people would say that Yi Zichen got rich in the universe when they saw the money. However, Suiyun was very clear. It definitely wasn't easy for Yi Zichen to have so much money. It's all right, Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled, but didn't say anything else. You should be able to look at higher level ones with this money, right? Of course. Suiyun nodded. I have the right to fight as well. You want to enter the octagonal cage? Yi Zichen frowned. That's what I was thinking. Why do you have to go to the octagonal cage? There are virtual battles in the Virtual World Corporation's virtual network. The money I gave you is enough for you to fight several tens of millions of times in the virtual network. What's more, he can choose his opponent according to your requirements, Yi Zichen said. I know, but it's different, Suiyun shook his head. No matter how good the opponents given by the virtual network are, in the end, they are all virtual, so there won't be that kind of life and death experience. Haven't you noticed that the only time we can truly increase our strength is when we are struggling on the edge of life and death? End of this chapter. Chapter 2290. Text of the Red Packet Server Chapter 2285. Internal fissure in a crisis. It could indeed allow people to break through their limit. The opponents that the Virtual World Group provided in the virtual network could do everything according to their own requirement. However, the virtual network was still the virtual network. Even if they died in the hands of their opponents, they would still be a threat to their lives. Yi Zichen had tried a few times before, but he felt that he lacked the experience of life and death, so he didn't continue. That being said, Suiyun wanted to enter the arena himself, but the risk was too high. He didn't want to see the people around him leave him. I suggest that you reconsider. Yizichin let out a deep sigh. If you enter the arena yourself, and you're slightly careless, how am I supposed to explain it to Su Yen? Don't worry. Su Yun smiled in response to Yizichin's words of comfort. I won't be reckless. I won't leave the arena before I'm certain. Also, even if I do leave the arena, I won't start a deathmatch. The money you gave me is enough for me to stay in the arena for a long time. What's more, we can't always stand behind you, right? Yizi, don't give yourself too much of a burden. Whether it's me, the great sage, Yang Jian or the others, we're all chasing after you. All right. Yizichin couldn't continue to comfort Su Yun. He could only let out a long sigh and support Su Yun's decision. He also believed that Su Yun wouldn't act recklessly. Oh yeah. Suddenly, Su Yun looked towards Yizichin. What's the second world that Bard keeps mentioning about? You're interested as well. I want to know more about it. Big bro, I found it. A man played with a dagger as he sat on a leather sofa in a high-class hotel on Blue River Planet, and watched the bald man in front of him report the situation. Speak, the man said indifferently. He was in a terrible mood, so bad that a ball of fire burned in his chest that he couldn't vent. Just now, he was scolded by his young master in the virtual network once more, causing the fire in his heart to burn even brighter. At that moment, he was like a volcano that was about to erupt. The bald man felt the change in the man's mood. His gaze changed slightly as he spoke. Haka died. Dead? The man on the sofa stabbed the dagger into the table, and got up from the sofa. He frowned and asked, how did he die? His anger came from Hacker. He felt that he had been cheated by Ha. The time they had agreed on was 3 days. 3 days had already passed, and Hacker had not contacted him. No matter how many messages he sent in the virtual network, he would not reply. He was already prepared to go to Hacker's manor to find him. Now he was dead. Yes. The bald man nodded. We've been accumulating energy for the past few days and haven't been paying attention to Blue River Star's movements. Hacker died on the first night we met him. The people from the agency have been investigating his murderer. Did you find anything? The bald man shook his head. Until now, the agency had not made any progress on Hacker's death. You're still counting on the agency? It's not like we don't know how efficient they are. Just then, a short man walked into the room. He went straight to the sofa and sat down. He gestured for the bald man to sit down as well. Black Tiger, you sit too. We're not superiors and subordinate. Why are you acting like you're an errand boy? Cheetah, what do you mean? The man who was standing frowned. What else can I mean? Taimo, we're both warlords. Why do you always order Black Tiger around? Is it just because you've been with young master for a long time? To be honest, I've been tolerating your behavior for a long time. You're obviously not that strong, but you always give orders like a big brother. The short man curled his lips. You. Taimo was furious. What, you still dare to fight me? Don't blame me for not reminding you. Unfortunately, I suddenly broke through to level 8 warlord last night. Cheetah grinned. He looked at Taimo with a playful expression. Taimo. Among the 3 of them, the bald Black Tiger's strength was weaker. He was a level 5 warlord. Cheetah and Taimo were both level 7 warlords. If they really fought, Cheetah's chances of winning would be higher. However, Taimo had been with young master for a long time. Whether in the game or in reality, his status was higher than Cheetah's. Cheetah had been enduring waiting for the time when his strength could truly suppress Taimo. He didn't expect everything to happen so quickly. Last night, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. With some enlightenment, he successfully broke through to level 8. This also gave him the right to shout at Taimo. Hearing that the short man had broken through to level 8, Taimo raised his eyebrows. Perhaps he didn't expect him to break through so quickly. Immediately after, he revealed a disdainful expression. His expression. No wonder. I was still wondering why you suddenly dared to speak to me like this. So it's because the breakthrough made you regain your confidence. What a pity. Do you think that you can turn over a new leaf after breaking through to level 8? Bang! The dagger on the table shook violently. Cheetah, who was sitting on the sofa, moved instantly. His weapon was a broadsword. When he waved it, it made a loud sound. Taimo grabbed the dagger and knocked the broadsword with the blade. Immediately after, with a shake of his palm, the dagger was pressed against Taimo's throat. Cheetah's broadsword also landed on Taimo's waist. As long as Cheetah thought, Taimo would be cut in half at the waist. Of course, he himself would be pierced by Taimo's dagger. Neither of them took another step forward. Their gazes met. They looked at each other coldly. Neither of them had any intention of backing down. The bald-headed black tiger scratched his head anxiously. He quickly ran in between the two of them. Taimo bro, Cheetah bro, what are you guys doing? Didn't we come back to deal with Yizichin? Why did you two start fighting? I've really tolerated you for a long time, Cheetah frowned. Same to you, Taimo smiled. I could tell that you were unhappy with me from the start. Don't you want to replace me? Fine. All of a sudden, Taimo put away his dagger and pushed Cheetah's broadsword away. From now on, I'll give my position to you. I didn't want it at first. When we return, I will ask young master to resign. Before that, how about we deal with Yizichin? I haven't fallen to the point where I need your charity. Cheetah put away his broadsword with a cold gaze. Cheetah sheathed his broadsword. His eyes were filled with indifference. What belongs to me, I will take it back myself. Today, I want to let you know that don't always treat me and Black Tiger as your subordinate. We are both warlords, and we are not superior to others. All right. Taimo smiled warmly, then put away his broadsword and sat back on the sofa. Yet, at that very moment, a hint of coldness flashed across Taimo's eyes. Then, he smiled towards Black Tiger. Black Tiger, did you find any other information? Yes. Black Tiger nodded. I feel like we can continue Haka's previous actions and find Yizichin. Continue Haka's previous actions. That's right, I think it's doable. End of this chapter. Chapter 2291. Text of Red Packet Server Chapter 2286. Deepwater Wolf Taimo also sat down on the sofa and raised his eyebrows. I really don't have much time, just now. Young Master was much more anxious than before in the virtual network. Taimo was very confused by Yizichin's urgent tone. He really didn't understand. Actually, Yizichin didn't really offend him in the second universe. He just stole a boss. Of course, ever since he boarded the spaceship to Blue River Planet, he didn't enter the second universe again. Who knows what sort of grudges they had after that. However, young Master wasn't so anxious a few days ago. What did Hacker do? Black Tiger, we really don't have much time, Taimo frowned. I'll tell you guys the truth. Just now, young Master contacted me and gave us 3 days. If we still can't take care of Yizichin, then there's no need for us to go back. So urgent? Cheetah frowned. Otherwise, do you think? Taimo spoke up. Young Master taught me a lesson in the virtual world. Otherwise, do you think I would have attacked you just now? I have fire too. So you vented it on me, Cheetah said unhappily. Seeing that his two big brothers were about to argue again, the bald-headed Black Tiger quickly comforted them, calming them down a bit. Big brothers, let's get down to business. I went out this time to find Hacker, then I found out about his death. During that time, I met a few of Hacker's subordinates and obtained some information. Speak, Taimo said. Hacker didn't lie to us. He did send people to investigate Yizichin that day, and found out where he lives, Black Tiger said. Taimo and Cheetah both raised their eyebrows. Found where he lives, that way they could just directly kill him. With the 3 of them being at the Universe Warlord level, Killing a star level was as easy as flipping their hands, even if there were other guards at his place. Hacker already said that the strongest guard by Yi Zichen's side was only at the star system level. The three of them wouldn't be in any danger. Even if Yi Zichen had other experts, they still had backup plans, the ones who returned to Blue River Planet, but it wasn't just the three of them and that lord. Anyway, Yi Zichen was already theirs. The place is fake. I already went to the address they found. It isn't Yi Zichen's residence, it's the work area of the Energy Administration. Damn it. Taimo clenched his fists. But I think we can start from other aspects. Black Tiger smiled. Hacker is investigating the residence of a cat girl's relative. We can definitely start from there and force Yi Zichen out. Cat race. Cheetah frowned. This cat race is related to Yi Zichen? There is a certain indirect connection, Black Tiger replied. This cat girl, Black Tiger, might look boorish, but he had a rough appearance. However, he was meticulous when doing things. After leaving the hotel, he had investigated almost all the information he could find out. This included the grudge between Cat Lady and Hacker. Suiyun was involved in the middle. The relationship between the Catgirl and Suiyun, as well as the relationship between Suiyun and Yi Zichen. Everything was investigated thoroughly. He even found the surveillance footage and showed it to Taimo and Cheetah. It really is him. After watching the video, Taimo and Cheetah both nodded. The person who had slapped Hacker in the video was their target. You think we can use Cat Lady to lure Yi Zichen out? There is a certain chance, Black Tiger nodded. If we want to find Yi Zichen, then we have to use Blue River Planet's city network. However, from Hacker's investigation, he has very strong anti-detection abilities. If we go and check Yi Zichen's residence, then the information we get will definitely be fake. You're right, Taimo nodded. So, we have to use Cat Lady's relative to capture her, then leak the information to Yi Zichen's friends, then use them to threaten Yi Zichen. It seemed very simple, but it was actually rather complicated to execute. However, for them, this might be the only way to force Yi Zichen over. We can set the location outside the planet. If we kill him on the planet, then it will cause a bit of trouble for us. It's best if we don't cause trouble for young master. Then we'll do as you say, Taimo decided. Wait, actually, we can clearly give this footage to the admin bureau to make the agency think that they have a motive. Cheetah suddenly pointed at the footage. For some reason, Black Tiger's expression changed. Then, he quickly explained with a smile. Brother Ta, it's impossible for the agency to not have this footage. The reason why they didn't arrest Yi Zichen is because they don't have enough evidence. The laws of the universe are very protective of citizens. What's more, if the agency really does arrest him, how are we supposed to do anything? We don't have much time left anyway. Hearing that, Cheetah frowned. He looked towards Taimo. Actually, the reason he said that was because he didn't want to agree with Taimo's decision. However, from the looks of the current situation, he could only agree. All right, let's do as you say. Cheetah let out a deep sigh. Does Hacker have any information on Cat Lady's relative? Yes. Black Tiger nodded. I already have the information. I will leave Blue River Planet to set it up later. Older brothers continue to accumulate energy. When you see Yi Zichen, give him a fatal blow. You're going by yourself. Cheetah frowned. Yeah, Black Tiger shrugged. Brother Ta, don't worry about me too much. I'm the weakest, so these things should be done by me. Older brothers, just wait patiently. When I'm done, I'll inform you too. Thank you, Black Tiger, Taimo said. Not at all, this is what I should do. Black Tiger left the hotel with a smile. Heihu smiled and left the hotel. Taimo and Cheetah looked at his back as he left. Black Tiger is an honest person, Taimo said. I'd rather Black Tiger be the boss, Cheetah snorted, then left the living room without looking back. Taimo squinted his eyes at Cheetah and clenched his fist. Little did they know Black Tiger, who just left the hotel, let out a long sigh. Those two are so interesting. They're still so enthusiastic even though they're dogs. How scary. I didn't expect Cheetah to have such a shrewd side. If he really convinced me just now, then the plan might have gone down the drain. Black Tiger squinted his eyes with a smile, then walked into the alleyway. After making sure that the area was not under surveillance, he took out an anonymous helmet, entered the virtual network, and sent a message to his only good friend. Sire, it's a success. Request for the next step of the mission. End of this chapter. Chapter 2292. Text of the Red Packet Server Chapter 2287. The Reunion After Several Months, Dear Mr. Yi. As your optical computer, I have to remind you. You need to pay a bank overdraft. Yi Zichen blanked out on the sofa in the castle's living room. At that moment, he was the only one in the entire castle. Bard invited Bei Yin to go shopping. Bei Yin actually agreed, and perhaps because she was moved by Bard's persistence, she left the castle after asking for leave from Yi Zichen. Bei Yu went to school to study. A few days ago, Su Yun asked Yi Zichen about the second universe. After Yi Zichen explained it, Su Yun felt like that place wasn't suitable for him. He felt like the arena was more suitable for him, so he spent most of the past 2 days in the arena. Yi Zichen was extremely bored. Yet, Bailey suddenly popped up and told him the most troublesome thing. Even without Bailey telling him. Actually, Yi Zichen understood. These few days, the Universe Union Bank has been sending him emails regarding his repayment. Understood. Yi Zichen let out a deep breath, then entered the virtual network. No matter what, I still have to go to that terrible world. I wonder how the Virtual World Corporation dealt with Overlord Might. I've already reported Overlord Might's evil deeds to Shea multiple times. Meng Luo, Flame Rat and Tianhai also seem to have reported him. Yi Zichen clicked on the Milky Way chat group. The group was very quiet. Ever since the purge, no one logged into the game, so no one spoke in the group. Future. Everyone future. Does anyone know what happened to Overlord Might? Did he get caught or not? Flame Rat. Great God! Flame Rat. Great God, I miss you so much. Meng Luo. Cute baby Meng Luo appeared. Great God, hello. Wow. I didn't even dare to speak in the group before. Tianhai. Divine Domain, long time no see. Jingling, Ling Corporation talk. Tianhai. Divine Domain, Honey Steel. Steel family, hello great God. Steel family F***CK, what's going on? Tianhai Ji, you succeeded? Tianhai, Divine Domain, what do you think? Jingling, Ling Corporation die. Tianhai, Divine Domain, ah. My wife is so cute even when she's angry. I'm in love. What the hell was going on? In just a few months, he felt that the relationships between the people here were a little messy. How did Tianhai get involved with Jingling? From the looks of it, was he pursuing her? White, future, thank you. Hua Jianro. Ayaya, isn't this my benefactor, future God? Future God, thank you for saving my life. Well, can you come to my place and let me repay your kindness? Had Bai Se and Hua Jianro awakened? Just as Yi Zichen felt relieved, he saw Hua Jianro's message. Die. Damn it, what did Hua Jianro want? Why did she want him to go to her place? It was way too obvious. I'm your savior, but you didn't come to me to repay me. Instead, you let your savior travel through the universe to find you? Where's your face? And Tianhai, Jingling, what happened to the two of you? What happened to the two of you while I was recovering? Jingling, ignore him in the future. Tianhai, ha ha ha, future brother, Jingling is your sister-in-law now. Stillkirk was speechless. Hua Jianro, why would I look for you? How do you want to repay me? How about this? Come and find me, I'll repay you with my body. Tianhai, spectators. Jingling, the fire of gossip has been ignited. Stillkirk, F***CK, what are you guys doing? Are you torturing a single dog? White, enough. Meng Luo, I want to marry a god as well. Flame rat. So exciting, I'm going to take a screenshot. Future. You're already engaged, so don't try to flirt around. I'm someone with a family. Future. I feel like there are fewer people. Future. Blue Shield family, Gulu, returning Windblade, why aren't they here? Jingling. And that slut rouge and face powder isn't here either. Tianhai. That's normal, right? Returning Windblade and the others were all terrified. It would be hard for them to get out of that situation in a short period of time. Hua Jianro, what a pity, Hua Jianro. I was unconscious. I really wanted to experience just how scary it was. Lil Ro. In a distant galaxy with life, Bai Sei, who was sitting in a ward, frowned towards Hua Jianro. How can you tease me like that? Oh, sorry. Hua Jianro also felt like there was something wrong with what she said just now, so she quickly took back the message. Hua Jianro took back a message. Does she really think that no one else can see it? Yi Zichen's expression darkened and couldn't help but slap his head. Future. Let's talk about something serious. Is Overlord Might dead or not? Stillkirk, I reported him. Jingling, me too. I don't know the outcome. I'll wait for a reply downstairs. Meng Luo. Ya Meng Luo. Cough cough. I also reported him. I don't know the outcome. I'll wait for a reply downstairs. Flame Rat. Hee hee, I'm here to break the formation. Hua Jianro, you're an idiot, right? There was no formation in the first place, right? Bai Sei, Tianhai, Overlord Might has been restricted from leaving the country. The Virtual World Corporation has already started to investigate his family, but his family is rather special, so it will take some time to deal with. Future. You even know this? How did you know? Jingling. He's a sovereign, so of course he knows. What? Tianhai is a sovereign? Yi Zichen looked at the messages in the group in shock. Flame Rat. Wow, a sovereign. Meng Luo, wow. Hua Jianro. Damn, there's actually a venerable one in our group. Bai Sei, Stillkirk, F***CK, Big Brother Tianhai, you're a sovereign. Tianhai, that's enough. Tianhai, you guys, I don't need to say anything about your backgrounds. All of you are overlords. Tianhai, and my cute wife Jingling. Tianhai, king rank. Stillkirk, F***CK, I'm so helpless. Stillkirk, just what kind of people am I playing with? Jingshun, shut up. Tianhai Yi Zichen did expect that Meng Luo and company had strong backgrounds, but he didn't know that they were all overlords. And Tianhai sovereign. King Jingling. He really wanted to use Stillkirk's words right now. Just what kind of people am I playing with? They're all monsters. At that moment, Tianhai. I don't need to say anything about the future, right? We all saw it with our own eyes. Future me? Yi Zichen was completely confused. To be honest, he had already lost consciousness during the final stages of the Purge plan. He didn't even know how he returned from the second universe. But now, Tianhai said that he had a background. What about me? Tianhai, don't mess with me. End of this chapter. Chapter 2293. Text of Red Envelope Group Chapter 2288. Back to the second universe, are you serious? In a ward with many expensive and sophisticated medical equipment, Hua Jianro, who was wearing a blue hospital gown, with her mouth full of snacks, was in a daze. Her loose hospital gown couldn't hide her imposing figure. While she was surprised, her chest was still moving up and down rhythmically. By you, didn't you investigate him? His background is actually that big? Hua Jianro looked at the breathtakingly beautiful girl beside her. I didn't investigate him. Bai Yu frowned in annoyance. She did want to investigate Yi Zichen, but she gave up in the end and went to investigate Hegeman Wei, who had a grudge with Yi Zichen in the second universe. Even so, when she learned of Yi Zichen's identity, she couldn't help but be shocked. Why are you guys doing this? Meng Luo, who had her hair combed into cute braids, blinked her bright eyes, filled with curiosity. She is by nature innocent. Under the meticulous care of her family elders, she did not have a particularly intuitive concept of the world. Regardless of their status or background, or a beggar with no background, in her eyes they were all the same. There was no difference. Everyone in the room knew Meng Luo. He didn't feel shocked when he heard this from her mouth. "Little mouse, you really aren't exaggerating, right?" Hua Jianro, who was sitting on the bed, couldn't help but ask again. "No, you didn't see it. If you saw it with your own eyes, it would definitely be more shocking than what I've described." The Flame Rat nodded seriously. The Virtual World Corporation and the Universe Union Bank have personally dispatched tens of millions of people to help. Back then, the titled battle pet warrior of the Valley of Peaks said that we have to make sure the future god is safe. You can ask Meng Luo if you don't believe me. Yes. Meng Luo's expression did not change at all. Silence. Not mentioning anything else, just the Virtual World Company and the Universe Union Bank. These two powers were enough to make it hard for people to breathe. Not to mention that they had mobilized tens of millions of people to rescue them. Oh right. That titled senior also said that if the future god wasn't here, we would have killed him. They'll continue to enter the village to search. If they can't find it, we'll kill everyone in the village, the Flame Rat said. Too domineering. Hua Jianro couldn't help but put her hands together and intertwine her fingers. No need. I think this is definitely what the Fox Empress said. She's really an idol. Hey, don't act up. Bai Yu frowned. What? Can't I worship Lord Fox Emperor? Hua Jianro pursed her lips. From the first time she saw Wen Li's interview, she was deeply infatuated with this empress. Domineering. No matter when, no matter what he did, no matter what he said, it was always so domineering that it made people's hearts beat faster. Bai Yu couldn't help but shrug. This was how Hua Jianro would react when Lord Wenli was mentioned. She had grown up with Hua Mian, so she was used to it, right, Bai Yu? The love-struck Hua Jianro suddenly came back to her senses and tilted her head to look at Bai Yu. It seems like Yi Zichen's position is actually very high. Since the two giants have personally sent people to rescue them, it's very likely that there's a supreme being standing behind them. If the two of you get together, you'll be a good match. Die! Bai Yu frowned. I'm speaking the truth, Hua Jianro shrugged. Look, it's been so long, yet there's no one you like. Since you aren't against the future, I feel like you can try to get in touch with him. What's more, don't you feel like he's very special and might have a fire elemental fairy? Go and try. If you really get together, then the fire elemental fairy isn't important, Bai Yu pursed his lips. Can you stop mentioning the fire elemental fairy? It makes me seem like I'm too materialistic. This scene caused Hua Jianro to be stunned for half a minute. It can't be, Bai Yu. Our goddess Bai Yu, you really want the future. Wow, I didn't think that our goddess Bai Yu would fall in love. It's my fault, it's my fault. I won't mention the fire elemental fairy anymore. The two of you will just purely be in love. Don't worry, I'll deal with your elders for you. Hua Jianro raised her thumb. Bai Yu could clearly feel the ridicule in Hua Jianro's words. Die. Bai Yu grabbed a pillow and threw it out. I'm speaking the truth. Hey, why did you hit me? Hua Jianro dodged to the side and grabbed a pillow. You hit me, so I have to hit you back. In the Milky Way chat group, the few people who were still reading the messages in the group had all seen the scene with their own eyes, so they naturally didn't need anyone else to explain. Yi Zichen didn't know. He thought, ask. Stop pretending, we all saw it with our own eyes, what's the point of hiding it? Tianhai left behind these baffling words. Then, Tianhai started to tangle with Jingling. Yi Zichen didn't know what they were up to. It seemed like a public display of affection, but it wasn't. Steelcase, who was single, couldn't take it anymore, so he had already left the group. Yi Zichen looked at the feud between Tianhai and Jingling for a long time. Since he couldn't get a word in, he could only leave. After leaving the group, Yi Zichen found out a lot of things that had happened in the past few months. Jingling and Tianhai, Hua Jianro and Bai Bai had awakened. they were restricted from leaving the realm. Yizichin estimated that this guy would definitely be punished by the Virtual World Corporation before long. Even when he left the group, he still had a question. Just what happened to me? Of course, he didn't think too much about it. There was something that troubled him even more. Actually, if Yizichin had borrowed money from the group, he would have been able to borrow quite a bit. That way, he wouldn't need to enter the second universe. But he had to pay back the money he borrowed, and it definitely wasn't a long-term solution. If he wanted to maintain the consumption of his elemental fairies, then he definitely had to enter the second universe. What's more, there was a little phoenix waiting for him there. I wonder how the little phoenix is doing after not going there for several months. I have to face it eventually. Yizichin clenched his fist in the virtual network, then let out a deep sigh to encourage himself. For some reason, Yizichin couldn't help but smile wryly. When did I become so weak? Didn't I just nearly die in the second universe? How many times have I nearly died since I was a normal person on Earth? I've truly lived in peace for far too long. I've become a bit fragile. Isn't it just the second universe? What's there to be afraid of? Yizichin found the login to the second world. I didn't think that even a few would take time. The second world hadn't been updated yet either. It seems like everything in the game is already close to completion. There's no need to repair the world every 2 or 3 days like the beginning. He let out a deep breath. Yizichin stared at the icon in front of him. Confirm. Enter. End of this chapter. Chapter 2294. Text of Red Envelope Group Chapter 2289 Special or Hollow Mine. It was magnificent. Yizichin's consciousness entered the second universe. The moment he saw the scene in front of him, he froze. The place where he appeared was a bedroom. The room was decorated very extravagantly. From the tea table to the chairs, Yizichin could feel the rich aura from the floor. The teacups on the tea table. Crystal material. Crystal clear. The table was also made of solid redwood. The craftsmanship was excellent, and there were no flaws to be found. F***CK, 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 F***CK. The A.I. Bailey suddenly popped up. He stood on Yizichin's shoulder, his eyes wide open as he scanned the room like a scanner. This is too extravagant, Bailey exclaimed. What happened? Actually, Yizichin could feel the splendor of the place as well. He was starting to wonder if something went wrong when he entered the game. He didn't return to the place where he logged off from, and instead went to the home of some rich and powerful official. After hearing Bailey's exclamation, he also wanted to ask what was so special about this room. Take me to the wall. Hearing that, Yizichin walked towards the wall and even reached out to touch it. It didn't have the hardness of a stone. It was a little cold at first, but it soon felt warm again. It was as if the wall could adapt to the temperature and change its temperature according to the temperature it touched. Holy shit! It's actually a special ore. What a reckless waste of God's gifts. This is a reckless waste of God's gifts. It can't be. Could it be that the entire room is made of this ore? Holy shit! I'm going crazy. Touch the ground. Yizichin squatted down and touched the ground. When he touched the ground, it didn't feel much different from a wall. Actually, he could feel it even without using his hands when he walked. He didn't feel that hard feeling. It was as if he was walking on a foam with a certain degree of contraction, and it was very comfortable. It's true! Oh my God, is there something wrong with this person's brain? Using this kind of ore to build a house. Bailey was startled for a moment before he quickly noticed the table in the room. This table, could it be the Thunderbolt pear tree? It's at least 100,000 years old. Wait a moment. And this crystal cup, it's for a crystal cup made of ice crystals? It actually removed the cold energy of the ice crystal, leaving behind its pure essence. Later, this door will also be made of thunderstruck pear blossom wood. Damn, this is a D-grade metal. Holy shit. My God. The whole room was filled with Bei Li's exclamation, and it didn't stop for more than 10 minutes. After a long time, Yi Zichen felt like calluses had formed on his ears. "We're rich." Bei Li's eyes shone with a dazzling light as he looked at the decorations in the room. Yi Zichen didn't understand. "Hurry up and fill the room with whatever you can. It would be best if you can dig out the ores on the floor and walls of the room." Bei Li's bright eyes were filled with fanaticism as he looked at the entire room. "What the hell? They're going to dig the ground?" Yi Zichen was shocked. What was he trying to do, bandits entering the city? Although Yi Zichen also felt that the room was very luxurious, he was someone who owned an equipment store, so he earned a lot of money every day. There might have been some chaos when he went online this time. He was prepared to log off and log back in. When the time came, he would go to the equipment shop to get his money back and clear the Universe United Bank's overdraft. As for these, he couldn't just take things that didn't belong to him. What made him even more speechless was that Bei Li actually told him to dig out the walls and the floor. The tea table and cups were easy to take. How was he supposed to dig the floor? F***ck. What are you pretending to be serious for? Bei Li rolled his eyes. "Do you know what these are?" "So what if I know or not?" Yi Zichen shrugged. "If I'm not wrong, this room is completely made out of E-grade special or hollow ores," Bei Li said. "Do you know how precious hollow ores are? This kind of ore is already extinct in the first universe. There's no more left. Just a palm-sized piece can be sold for several $100,000 universe dollars. Do you know how much hollow ores you took out from this room? Over 100 million. Don't talk about paying it off, you'll still have a lot left." Huh? Yi Zichen was stunned. A palm-sized ore can be sold for several $100,000. This amount can't even reach a kilogram, right? Ores can be sold for so much? "You're not scaring me, right?" Yi Zichen said. "I'm scaring you?" Bei Li shouted. "I'll show you." As he spoke, Bei Li found hollow ores on the virtual network. Information about buying hollow ores and hollow ores. This thing is actually sold by the gram? Yi Zichen clearly saw that the seller of hollow ores was selling it for 3,000 universe dollars per gram. 3 million universe dollars per kilogram. Even among the people who wanted to buy it, the highest price was already 1970 universe dollars. Ores are sold by the gram. Yi Zichen had never heard of this before. Why is this thing so expensive? Hollow ores are special ores. I won't tell you about its many characteristics one by one, you can find them in the virtual network. Its most important characteristic is... Never mind, punch this wall with all your strength, Bei Li said. Full force. Yes. Don't. Even if I'm in the second universe, I'm only at the level 5 domain. This punch has at least 1,000,000 kilograms of force. Just hit it. Bei Li couldn't be bothered to say any more. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes with a frown, thinking that Bei Li probably wouldn't screw him over. Yi Zichen punched out. Yi Zichen's full-force punch actually left a dent of less than 3 centimeters on the wall. Then, not even half a second later, the wall returned to normal. F***ck. See, I'll let you do another experiment, Bei Li smiled. Use your weapon to chop upwards. Chop? Actually, Yi Zichen had already noticed something. This hollow ores gave people a feeling of gummy candy. It was rather tough. If I chop it with a sword, Yi Zichen guessed that it would break, but when he saw Bei Li's confident look, he wanted to see what sort of surprise this ore could bring him. Yi Zichen took out a gold-grade artifact from his backpack. He didn't think about condensing the power of a godhead. The attack of a gold-grade artifact was already strong enough. Yi Zichen let out a deep breath. Yi Zichen adjusted himself to his best state. He held the longsword with both hands, gathered his strength to the maximum, and chopped down towards the wall. The sharpness of the sword, Yi Zichen had thought that it would leave a huge dent, but it only left a shallow mark on the wall. Yi Zichen had swung his sword with full force just now, but it was only to this extent. Before Yi Zichen could say anything, what happened next shocked him even more. The mark left by his sword just now. It actually healed. End of chapter. Chapter 2295. Text of Red Envelope Group Chapter 2290. Sir, what are you doing? Heal. The ores could automatically recover. When he saw this, Yi Zichen could no longer maintain his composure. A full-powered punch only left a small dent. A single strike left a shallow mark. After that, recover. See. Bailey sat on Yi Zichen's shoulder with his arms crossed, while his eyes were filled with pride. This is the characteristic of hollow ores. It has a remodeling memory function and a special self-recovery function. Molded memory, when it is fixed in a certain state, no matter what you change it into, it will automatically return to its original state. Heal. I believe I don't need to explain it to you. Damn it, what kind of immortal attribute was this? The attributes of this ore were already heaven-defying. Let me put it this way, don't even mention that you're only a domain level. Even if a universe level came against this wall, he wouldn't be able to break it. Bailey threw another heavy bomb. F***CK. This time, Yi Zichen couldn't help but exclaim. Universe level. He couldn't blast open a wall like this. Wait, I suddenly thought of something. Yi Zichen suddenly spoke up. If it's like what you said, and the hollow ores have molded memories, then doesn't that mean it can actually be forged into armor? That's right. Bailey nodded. Although hollow ores are ores, their special properties make them excellent forging materials. It really works. Yi Zichen's eyes brightened. During this period of time, Bailey acted like a little teacher as he explained the uniqueness of the hollow ores to Yi Zichen. The hollow ores also have a very good dispersal effect. In the middle phase of the first universe, hollow ores were one of the core materials for many defensive equipment. When forging equipment, some hollow ores could be added, allowing it to have a certain degree of force reduction and healing properties. Add some. Yi Zichen tilted his head. Isn't it purely using hollow ores to forge equipment? You really dare to dream. Bailey's face darkened when he heard that. Do you know how expensive hollow ores are? Didn't you see it for yourself just now? Do you know how much a full body armor made of hollow ore costs? Also, although the hollow ore's ability to divert power and recover is very good, when facing experts above the rank of general, the effect is much weaker. Using the money to forge hollow ore armor, they actually had many better choices. If it was all made out of hollow ore, it would only be useful against people under the universe level. However, do you think, how many under the universe level can take out a few 100 million? Do these things? Yi Zichen nodded. This was the limitation of the hollow ore, so it could only be used as a core material and not as a main material. Even so, hollow ores are still very popular as auxiliary core materials, so much so that it is almost impossible to see hollow ores in the first universe. The ones that are still in circulation are all extracted from former equipment. Bailey explained carefully. I see. Yi Zichen's gaze towards the hollow ores changed after knowing how precious they were, and his opinion towards the owner of the room also changed. What a nouveau riche! That's right. That's why I said that the person who built this house is simply wasting God's gift. Using a perfectly good hollow mind to build a house, either he's really rich or he's really brainless. Bailey also nodded in agreement. In the entire universe, the universe where humans lived was the most resource-rich. In the machinery race's innerverse star system, there had never been the birth of a hollow mine. Of course, on the surface, the machinery race had never envied the human race. Even without the hollow mines, they could still create very good machinery and combat equipment. Unbeknownst to them, in secret they were so envious that they cried. By fusing a palm-sized hollow ore into it, the entire equipment would have the ability to recover. The machine race really envied the human race. Halfway through the battle, the equipment could even heal itself. The machinery race did not have any, But here, Bailey saw an entire house made of hollow ore. He was going to die of jealousy. Also, this is just a hollow mine. After feeling jealous for a while, Bailey pointed to the table in the room. 100,000-year-old thunder pear tree, immune to thunder elemental attacks, 100,000 years. It's probably immune to all thunder elemental attacks below the universe level. It's also greatly weakened against warrior levels. What a treasure! Yi Zichen opened his eyes wide. The metal box over there is made of D-grade metal. It's relatively expensive even among D-grade metals. That box can probably be sold for more than 5 million universe credit. Good stuff. The ice crystal cup on the table, it doesn't have much of an effect. It can be treated as a piece of art. I feel like this forging method can be auctioned for several million universe credit. Good stuff. And that one over there, Bailey continuously introduced the value of the other items in the room. Yi Zichen's face flushed as he heard that, and his heart raced. He felt like, I really have to be a thief for once. Collect, collect, collect. Collect everything. Yi Zichen collected all the items in the room into his backpack. The luxurious room from half an hour ago was now bare. The walls and the floor. Not a single item was left. Yi Zichen didn't want to do that, but he really couldn't control himself when so much money was placed in front of him. What's more, he didn't feel any guilt since all of this came from the second universe. However, he was currently facing a problem. How do I dig? Yi Zichen tilted his head and looked at Bailey. If I used a sword to dig, it would recover in less than a second. How am I supposed to dig it out? Bailey thought for a moment. How about we go to the other rooms and put this hollow ore aside? You don't want it. Yi Zichen frowned. Then what do we do? We can't take it away, Bailey shrugged. Yi Zichen felt like he was going crazy. Yi Zichen told him how great the hollow ore was. I actually can't take it away. Fine. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth, then took out an invisibility scroll from his backpack. Nobody knows when the owner of this place will return. I'll make a huge profit before he returns. Yi Zichen pushed open the door and left. The moment he walked out, Bailey sat on Yi Zichen's shoulder and cursed. This guy. He actually used hollow ore to build a castle. It was as Bailey said, the entire castle was made out of hollow Oregon. This sort of scene, it looked very majestic. Yi Zichen felt envious. How much would a castle's hollow ore be sold for? Unfortunately, this castle didn't belong to him. His backpack couldn't store the entire castle. If he could, Yi Zichen had already taken the entire castle. He didn't care about whether or not he could dig out the hollow ore in the future. He would eventually have a chance to take it out. What's more, he could mortgage it to the Universe Union Bank. They might be willing to take it. What a shame. Yi Zichen looked at the castle that was made out of hollow ore silently, then rubbed his chin. Time to act. Collect, collect, collect. Yi Zichen didn't leave any of the items that could be stored in his backpack. What made Yi Zichen excited was, the castle was very large, and there were a lot of rooms. Although the rooms after that were not as rich as the rooms at the beginning, they were still quite rich. Yi Zichen turned into a hard-working bee. He put the items into his backpack one after another. Until the door to the room was suddenly pushed open. Yi Zichen was still working hard on putting his backpack, and didn't even notice that the invisibility scroll's duration was up. The person at the door silently watched him put the items with his back facing the door. Sire! What are you doing? End of this chapter. Chapter 2296. Text of Red Envelope Group Chapter 2291. Escape from danger. No, I can't pretend anymore. We don't have enough packaging left. Bailey, show me what's cheap. Let's throw some out. How can this person be so rich? Yi Zichen muttered as he sat on the ground. After more than half an hour, he still hadn't emptied the castle. According to Bailey's calculations, if he were to sell the items in his backpack in the first universe, it would be worth hundreds of millions of universe dollars. In fact, this castle, the most valuable one, was the hollow ore, but they had no way of taking it. Seeing that he couldn't eat the fatty meat, he could only eat some side dishes. At the very beginning, Yi Zichen just wanted to fill his backpack and leave, but towards the end, he really couldn't stop his hands. Now his backpack was already full, but Bailey urged him to keep packing. Just as the two of them were making their selections, "My lord? What are you doing?" These sudden words caused Yi Zichen, who had his back to the door, to freeze in fright. Is the invisibility scroll outdated? When did the person at the door come? Why didn't Bailey warn him? Bell. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth. As an optical supercomputer, it should always be in a state of alertness, warning its host in advance of danger. Right now, everyone in the castle had already entered. They all saw him. There was no notification from Bailey, not even a notification that the invisibility time had ended. "Sir?" The person at the door was still probing. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes in silence. It seemed that this person had mistaken him for the master of the castle. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh, then waved at the person at the door to signal him to leave. The person at the door tilted his head and watched for a long time. "Sir, may I come in?" F***ck me. Was this person an idiot? Can't you see that my hand is telling you to get lost? It should be easy to tell the difference between waving and swinging hand. Why was this guy doing this? Could it be that he had already realized that he wasn't the owner of the castle, but he didn't want to alert the enemy? If that was the case, that would be troublesome. Yi Zichen couldn't speak. If he did, he would definitely be exposed. He could only wave his hand even more urgently, telling that fellow to leave as soon as possible. "Milord, who would have thought?" The person behind him didn't leave. Instead, he walked towards Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen was truly impressed by his intelligence. Little did they know. The young man who came in through the door was also confused. This was his room. He had just finished his work and returned to rest when he saw his master sitting on the floor, muttering something. He really wanted to rest. He was exhausted and didn't have the energy to care about anything else. He just wanted to sleep. Yi Zichen sensed the footsteps getting closer and closer. As he waved his hand, he calculated the distance between them. If it really doesn't work, he could only take an unconventional approach. No matter what, he could not let the other party see his face. He also needed to be vigilant, as it was very likely that the other party would suddenly attack him. Now was not the time to relax. 10 meters. 8 meters. 5 meters. 3 meters. The person got closer and closer to Yi Zichen. At the same time, Yi Zichen also took out the dark gold dagger he had prepared in his backpack. There was only one chance for him. If he couldn't deal with the mastermind directly, as long as he was allowed to shout it out, he believed that for a castle to be so luxuriously decorated, there would definitely be a lot of guards inside. He didn't want to reject PlayerUnknown's battleground again. At that moment, Yi Zichen's footsteps stopped a meter away. "I'm not moving." Yi Zichen squinted his eyes while his heart raced. Up until now, he still did not feel any hostility from the other party. Could it be that he was thinking too much? Did he really admit his mistake? "Sire," the moment the other party spoke, Yi Zichen's heart sank. He clenched his teeth and waved towards him. The newcomer obediently walked forward, and the moment he bent down. "Screw it." Yi Zichen grabbed his arm and pulled him down, then stabbed the dagger towards his chest. He did not hold back at all. Even a lion would use its full strength when fighting a rabbit. What's more, Yi Zichen wasn't a lion, and the person in front of him was definitely not a rabbit. "Sire." The person only said the same thing the entire time. When Yi Zichen stabbed him with the dagger, Yi Zichen could feel how shocked he was from his voice and his stiff body. "Sorry," Yi Zichen muttered in his heart, then exerted force. Yi Zichen imagined the piercing didn't happen. His dagger was only able to enter less than a centimeter before it stopped moving forward. F***ck. What's going on? Seeing that his attempt didn't work, Yi Zichen grabbed a handful of crystal sand and chucked it towards the person beside him. The crystal sand was also found in the castle. Bailey said that it was a good treasure, so Yi Zichen took it all. The crystal sand was perfect for blocking the other party's vision. After Yi Zichen chucked the crystal sand, Yi Zichen also instantly used an invisibility scroll and charged out of the room in the castle without looking back. Not long after he left, the young man who was stabbed by him held his chest. What? I haven't seen you for several months. Why did you stab me the moment we met? I didn't offend, sire. Could it be that sire thinks that I've eaten too much recently? If that's the case, then I can eat less. Why did you stab me? Yi Zichen touched his chest. Actually, Yi Zichen had accurately found the location of his heart. The young man's jacket was also pierced by Yi Zichen. But underneath the young man's coat, he was also wearing a silver-gray vest. There was a cut on the singlet. It was very shallow. Not long later, the cut healed. Could sire want to test the defense of the hollow armor forged by the dwarf uncle? Then why did you make me a lab rat? What did I do wrong? The young man put on a sad expression, then silently walked to the bed in the room to rest. He had already worked hard for an entire day. His body and mind were exhausted. At that moment, all he wanted to do was to sleep comfortably. As for sire's return, he'll just visit when he wakes up. He believed that sire would be able to understand him, no matter what. I've done quite a few meritorious deeds in the past few months. However, just as he half closed his eyes, followed the position of the bed according to his memory, and fell down in a dazed dong, f*ck. The young man rubbed his head and crawled up from the ground. It was fortunate that the ground was hollow, otherwise, he would have gotten a huge bump on the back of his head. At the same time, the sleepy young man suddenly became awake. He looked behind him. There was no bed at all where the bed should have been. Then he looked towards the other parts of the room. It was completely empty. f*ck. Where did the furniture in my room go? Where's my bed? End of this chapter. Chapter 2297. Text of Red Envelope Group Chapter 2292. For the hollow mine equipment after Yi Zichen used the invisibility scroll. It could be said that he used all his strength to run out of the castle. During the running period, he was still looking at the door of the room he had just left. A full half a minute passed, still no one chased after him. What? Why didn't he come out to catch me? Seeing that no one came out, Yi Zichen also began to slow down. Then, he stopped moving, then purposely turned back. He squatted not far from the door, waiting for the people in the room to catch him. He's an idiot. Counting the time, it had been almost 5 minutes. Yi Zichen muttered to himself. This kind of thing would only be interesting if one person caught the other and ran away. No one came to capture him. It was very boring. Of course, peace was the result Yi Zichen hoped for, but he'd come to steal take something, but wasn't there anyone to stop him? Wow, I'm really impressed. It had been almost 10 minutes, and the people in the room hadn't come out yet. There was no one in the castle to deal with this matter. I feel insulted. Yi Zichen tilted his head and looked at Bailey. However, he noticed that Bailey was thinking about something absent-mindedly. She raised her hand and patted his little head. How dare you? How dare you slap this prince's head? Bailey was like an irritated hedgehog, glaring angrily. You have the nerve to talk about me? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. What were you doing just now? Why didn't you tell me that someone was coming? As the AI, you should be responsible for this, right? This time, we were lucky to be able to escape. If we were unlucky, would we have died there? Don't explain. Yi Zichen raised his hand. We both made mistakes this time. I admit that I wasn't completely vigilant. Let's all learn from this. Bailey nodded blankly. He didn't know if Bailey would really listen to him. Although Yi Zichen made it sound easy, it was actually a very serious and deadly problem. At times, Bailey was very reliable. But sometimes, he was really unreliable. It seems that when I face this kind of problem in the future, I have to always be vigilant. I can't let this kind of thing happen again. Hey, what are you thinking about? Should we retreat or continue? Approximately a few minutes later, Yi Zichen still didn't leave the second universe, and instead asked Bailey. Not a family, never enter a house. Having just escaped death, Yi Zichen started thinking about the other rooms in the castle. Hey, Prince Bell. Ah. Bailey came back to his senses. I say, what are you doing? Yi Zichen frowned. You're making me nervous when you're so absent-minded. I feel like I need to buy an optical computer when I get back. Stop right there. Bailey reached out his hand righteously and killed Yi Zichen's evil thought in its bud. Can the optical supercomputer you bought compare to mine? It might not be capable, but it's obedient and cautious. Let's put it this way. If it was a normal photon computer, then the situation just now definitely would not have happened, Yi Zichen replied. Alright, I know I was wrong. Bailey admitted his mistake. But you can't say that. I'm just an optical computer, not a surveillance device. My surveillance range and functions are increased based on your abilities. If you aren't strong enough, then my surveillance abilities and range won't be able to either. It's really not that I'm trying to push the blame away. The person who came just now was stronger than you, so I couldn't find anything. Ha! Yi Zichen frowned. I suggest you buy a surveillance device for me when you get back. That way I can remind you in real time, Bailey said. Are you for real? From Bailey's reaction, Yi Zichen really did believe him a bit. Of course, Bailey nodded. It's fortunate that it was me. If it was any other photon computers, they wouldn't have been able to find anything just now. Even if they were on guard for you, they wouldn't have been able to find anything. What's more, don't think of photon computers as omnipotent. We're just supporting equipment. We're here to help you. You guys should be on guard for this sort of danger awareness. Why are you blaming me? Isn't it because you were too proud just now? So much so that I nearly ended up in jail. You're amazing. Sorry? Yi Zichen asked. When he said this, he himself was a little confused. What did I do wrong? Why am I the one apologizing? I forgive you. This Bailey actually seriously forgave him? Wow, or he acted as if Yi Zichen had really done something wrong. F*ck me. Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh, and did not continue to argue with Bailey. He felt that, if he continued to fight, he might not be a match for him. His mouth was full of nonsense. He even spoke righteously. Let's not talk about that. What were you doing just now? I called you for so long, but you didn't even reply, said Yi Zichen. I'm thinking about something very important. Bailey frowned, then looked at the dagger in Yi Zichen's hand. You stabbed him with a dagger, didn't you? Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Bailey said, the level of your dagger is not low, and your strength is not bad either. That person's cultivation realm might be slightly higher than yours, but not by much. So, why was he unharmed when you attacked him with your full strength? I also wanted to talk to you about this. The moment Bailey finished, Yi Zichen's eyes lit up. I was thinking, do you think that person is wearing armor forged from hollow ores? Just now, when the dagger stabbed in, that feeling was very fragrant. It was the feeling of hollow ores. It's very possible. Bailey nodded seriously. That's what I was thinking. I feel like it's very possible that that person is wearing armor forged from hollow ores. That's why you didn't succeed. Since that's the case, Yi Zichen pursed his lips, while a hint of excitement appeared in his eyes. Should I go back and take a look? Equipment forged from hollow ores. If I can get this sort of equipment, then my safety will be guaranteed when I roam the world in the future. More importantly, a piece of equipment forged from hollow ores, even if I don't need it in the future, no matter if I give it to a descendant or sell it, it would still be a very good choice. Although leaving right now might be the best choice. If I go over recklessly, it was very likely to cause unnecessary trouble. This sort of trouble might be extremely hard to deal with. A bit of carelessness. I might even lose my life. However, the reason I took the risk this time was for the equipment forged from hollow ores. Yizichin felt that it was worth the risk. End of this chapter. Chapter 2298. Chapter 2293. The disappearance of Cat 7. At the entrance of the arena, Suiyun stopped a worker. At the entrance of the arena, Suiyun raised his hand and called out to one of the staff members. The worker was a man from the tiger race. It was obvious he knew Suiyun. He even smiled when he saw Suiyun. "Mr. Su, what's wrong? You didn't get a ticket for any of the matches. I can arrange it for you." Suiyun was only a domain state. His wealth left a deep impression on the staff of the dueling arena. More importantly, there were 2 cosmic system states with him. Everyone thought he was a young master with a strong background. "Did Cat 7 come here recently?" Suiyun asked. "Cat 7? The man hesitated for a moment. "Didn't she leave with you?" "Ever since that day, she hasn't come here to work." "I see." Suiyun nodded. "If you have news of her, please contact me at any time, okay? Cat 7 isn't with you." The man frowned. The cat race and tiger race had always been close in the universe. Due to the relationship between the 2 races, this man had always taken care of Cat 7 at the arena. If it wasn't for the fact that the man from the Sky Tiger race wasn't at the arena, Haka wouldn't dare to attack Cat 7. She was, but a few days ago she suddenly said she had to leave. It's been 2 days. I sent her messages on the virtual network, but she hasn't replied. I'm a bit concerned. It's only been 2 days. The man's expression eased up. People in the universe had a very different definition of time compared to people on Earth. In their eyes, 2 days might be 2 hours on Earth. "Mr. Su, you really care about little 7. It seems she found a master worthy of following." The man smiled. "Mr. Su, don't be too anxious. Wait a few more days. Maybe little 7 went home to visit her family. She'll be back soon." "Visit her family?" Suiyun frowned. "Yes, little 7 has a mother and sister who live on Azure River Planet, which is next to our Blue River Planet. She goes back there almost every 6 months and stays there for about 3 to 5 days. The Tiger Tribe man was very familiar with Cat 7's schedule and explained. "Azure River Star, how long does it take to go there and back?" "It shouldn't be too long. Take our Blue River Star's interstellar flight and you'll be there in 2 days." "Alright, I understand. Thank you for your hard work." He took out $100 universe from his bosom and placed it in the Tiger Clan expert's hand. The Tiger Clan expert was startled for a moment when he saw it. He then smiled and shook his head, not taking the money. To him, 100 universe credits was not a small sum. "Mr. Su, forget about it. I've always seen Shao-Chi as a girl. Last time, when Hacker came to cause trouble for Shao-Chi, I wasn't there. When I came back, he was already dead. At that time, thanks to you and your friend, little 7 was spared. It's already my fault for not thanking you. How can I accept your money?" The tiger laughed, then pushed Suiyun's hand away. "Mr. Su, please visit our duel arena more often. It would be great if you could bring little 7 back to see it occasionally." "Alright. See you later." "Wait," Suiyun stopped the Tiger Clan experts. "Do you know where Cat 7's home is?" When the Tiger Clan expert who left Cat 7's address entered the duel arena, Suiyun knitted his eyebrows in worry. I don't know why, even after being comforted by the Tiger Clan expert, he was still unable to calm down. Perhaps it was all because of Cat 7's gaze before he left. Suiyun frowned and hesitated for a moment as he looked at the address recorded in the virtual network. "It's still very worrying. I have to confirm it personally." Yizichin truly felt like he had gone crazy. He, who had just escaped, actually returned to that room for the hollow ore equipment. He also felt like the person he just met was crazy as well. His room was clearly empty, yet he did not react at all and continued to sleep. From very far away, Yi Zichen could even hear his snoring. It was very stuffy. It was as if he was covered with a lid. Yi Zichen, who used the invisibility scroll, moved around the room carefully like a thief. He walked in front of the young man like a cat. No wonder his snoring was so stuffy. He was sleeping in a completely prone state. I can't believe he can snore, Yi Zichen couldn't help but mutter. As he listened to the young man's snoring, the nervousness in his heart also lessened a bit. Yi Zichen examined the young man a few times. Yi Zichen lifted up the young man's clothes. When he opened his clothes, a small bittern, wrapped in oiled paper, fell out of his pocket. Chicken drumstick. Yi Zichen also saw some oil stains at the corner of his mouth. He took a few bites before going to sleep when he's so tired? For some reason, Yi Zichen suddenly thought of Xian Jingnan. That guy was also willing to give up his life for food. If the two of them met, they might become good friends. Yi Zichen completely lifted up his clothes, as he expected. The young man was wearing a silver-gray inner armor. Why is the color like this? The color of the inner armor was different from the hollow ore in the room. The hollow ore was a bit white to black. It should have been mixed with other metals, so it wasn't completely forged from hollow Oregon. Even so, the hollow ore definitely makes up more than 80% of it, Bailey said. F***CK. The inner armor was at least 50 kilograms. According to the price of 3 million per kilogram in the virtual store, that meant that the inner armor was already 100 million? How am I supposed to take it off? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. 100 million. Just this inner armor was almost equal to the value of his entire backpack. More importantly, this inner armor was a divine artifact. It was an extremely good piece of defensive equipment for the current Yi Zichen. Should I kill him? Yi Zichen frowned. I think it'll be very hard, Bailey said. Look at him, he's covered in hollow ore equipment. I wonder if the inner armor will automatically protect its owner if you stab his head. It can be like that? Yi Zichen was shocked. Of course. Bailey replied with certainty. Yi Zichen pursed his lips. That means I can only take it off? That's right. Bailey nodded. Look at the way he's sleeping. I think it's possible to take it off. F***CK, you really aren't afraid of me dying. Yi Zichen suppressed his voice, but his hand reached down towards the young man's inner armor in a very honest manner and started to pull it down. At that moment, the young man, who was lying on the ground, suddenly turned around and stared straight at Yi Zichen. Thus, the two of them stared at each other. Sire, what are you doing? Then, the young man saw that his pants had been taken off a bit, causing him to cover his chest with his hands. Sire, I don't like men. F***CK. Yi Zichen was completely shocked as well. He shouted at the young man. Xian Jingnan, why is it you? End of the chapter.